stuffy. Katarina decides that she and Daniel should put on a jungle-themed play with her mom. Katarina says she wants to be a beautiful dancing flower, while Daniel goes with a more obvious choice.
Lion!
Wow, a jungle cat wanting to play a different kind of jungle cat. What range?
I'm king of the jungle, roar!
Actually, Daniel, despite being called the king of the jungle, most lions don't actually live in the jungle, so you can't even stay on theme. The two brothers through Katarina's toy chest to find the perfect costumes, but wouldn't you know it, they both want to wear the same outfit. Katarina says she needs the tutu for her flower costume, while Daniel argues that he needs it for his lion's mane. The two get into a tutu tug of war when Katarina's mom intervenes to keep the kids from tearing each other's throats out. Katarina rightfully points out that since it's her tutu, she should get to decide who wears it. But Daniel really wants the tutu. Katarina's mom asks if they can share the tutu, and her daughter says, for that. Katarina is reluctant to give up her tutu, and yeah, you could argue she's being a bit selfish, but given Daniel's history of never wanting to share anything, I can see why she'd be hesitant to hand it over. Katarina agrees to give Daniel the tutu, but reminds him that he has to give it back.
Don't forget the getting it back part, Meow. I won't forget.
Lies. The show begins, and Daniel shows off his lion costume, though honestly, his head looks less like a lion and more like an expired condom. Katarina is surprised when Daniel actually gives back the tutu so she can do her flower dance.
Who gave it back, Meow?
I know, I'm just as shocked as you are. Katarina asks to borrow Daniel's stuffed animal for the jungle dance. And remember what I said about Daniel never wanting to share anything? Daniel, you damn hypocrite. Daniel finally agrees to share Tiggy, but only after Katarina agrees to hand over the tutu.
You can take a turn.
Whoa. How did you pull off your tutu like that? Did you yank it through your stomach? The two spend the rest of the afternoon sharing their toys, and Daniel ends the episode by lying directly to the audience.
I want to tutu you because you're my friend.
Daniel. So Daniel Tiger clearly has his fair share of shitty moments, but that still begs the question, is he a bigger brat than DW? On one hand, you could argue that Daniel Tiger is more poorly written, as unlike DW, he wasn't intentionally written to be an annoying little twerp, even though everything he does on the show makes him look like an annoying little twerp. On the other hand, you can also argue the writers for Arthur did too good a job of making DW the most annoying character on the show.
You built it all wrong. Did you even read the directions?
Now let's take a look at Arthur's season 16 episode, all about DW, where the demonic demon child tries to steal the limelight from her supposed best friend. Arthur says DW will stop at nothing to get whatever she wants. After 16 seasons, you're just figuring this out now? The ankle biter in question is preparing her audition for her preschool production of Little Red Riding Hood. She has Grandma Thora play the big bad wolf, and ropes her brother into playing a rather lethargic woodsman. DW yells at Arthur for using a tennis racket instead of an axe.
You don't play tennis. I'm not going to use a real axe.
You would think Arthur would jump at the chance to swing a real axe at this little red rat. DW says the characters need to be as authentic as possible, even though she didn't give her grandma any guff for not dressing up like a wolf. Talk about putting the predicate hypocritical. The graceless gaslighter claims her brother is trying to sabotage her audition on purpose, and DW is such a bad actor, she can't even shed crocodile tears on cue. And just in case you think there's any sincerity to DW's victim act, she goes right back to yelling at Arthur until he gives in to her demands.
We will practice the scene until we get it right.
To be fair, this is going much better than their last reenactment of Little Red Riding Hood, which featured a surprising amount of forced sex.
Arthur, did you eat Grandma?
In preschool, Miss Morgan is about to announce the cast of the show, but DW assumes she already has the lead role in the bag. The egotistical egghead is so sure of herself that she doesn't even wait for her teacher to announce the lead role before making her acceptance speech in front of the whole class.
Thank you.
Surprise, surprise. It turns out Emily got the lead role, not DW. DW assumes there must be a mistake, as she persistently exudes main character energy. DW gets a long overdue reality check, as she learns she's not even good enough to play tree number 1.
Amanda's playing tree number 1.
Jeez, Amanda, take it down a notch. You're still playing a f***ing tree. Real question, though. Has anyone ever actually played a tree in their school play? I guess it makes sense if you're doing The Wizard of Oz, but as a lifelong theater kid, I have never been in a show where anyone was asked to play an inanimate object. I don't know where this trope came from, but I can't imagine casting someone to play a part that can be swapped out with a painted piece of heart. Instead of congratulating her best friend on getting the lead role, DW spends the rest of the day sulking how she doesn't get to be the star. Arthur tries to cheer up his sour-faced sister, who tells him to go sit on a pine cone.
I've wanted to play this part since I was 3 and a half.
Grandma Thora says DW could still be Emily's understudy, which means she would get to take over the lead role if something happened to Emily. Stop giving your granddaughter ideas, Thora. DW sees this as her chance to steal the spotlight, and starts hatching up schemes to get Emily to drop out of the show. She imagines digging a moat around Emily's house, and even in her own fantasy, DW is too stupid to avoid painting herself into a corner.
Wait a minute, I'm trapped too.
Back in preschool, we see the Tibbletarts have been cast as Grandma and the played by twins, it makes more sense why Little Red might think of the same person. Seriously, if you can't tell the difference between a wild animal and your own grandma, your dumbass deserves to be eaten alive. DW tries to trick Emily into giving up the lead role by telling her about a show that's at the same time as the school play.
God, Arika! The tap dancing kittens on ice?
Sounds perfectly horrible. DW says she'd be happy to take over so Emily can go see the show. Emily sees right through the charlatan charade and tells her she'd rather be Little Red Riding Hood than go see cats on ice. DW then disrupts the rest of rehearsal by offering Emily increasingly ludicrous bribes to get her to drop out of the show, including a trip to Paris.
I didn't say it was Paris, France. There's a bakery called Paris at the mall.
You can't even spell Paris to a Pete petite. DW decides that if she can't bribe Emily to give up her part, she'll have to think of another way to get her to quit the show. The next day, DW shows off her homemade Dick Dastardly mask. She says Emily can use it to hide her face in case she messes up during the show. Emily again sees through DW's ruse and throws her backhanded comment right back in her face. Literally, DW proceeds to ruin another rehearsal by parroting Emily's lines as she says them.
I'm on my way to Grandma's house.
DW refuses to apologize for openly attempting to usurp Emily's role and promptly earns herself a seat on the naughty stool. DW then blames her grandma for getting her hopes up about being the star of the show, even though Grandma Thora never told her to be an antagonizing little to her best friend. Thora tells her ungrateful granddaughter that she can't always be the center of attention. She points out how it wouldn't be fair if Emily tried to hog something that DW wanted. You mean like a dumb little bouncy ball? Yeah, that'd be really stupid. Finally concedes that she's been acting like a jackass and promises to apologize to Emily.
I'll apologize to her first thing tomorrow morning.
Who the fuck are you and what have you done with DW? The next day, the teacher reveals Emily has lost her voice, and the Tipple Trolls rightfully assume DW had something to do with it.
She didn't lose it. You stole it, didn't you?
DW, how dare you make me agree with the Tipple trash? So after watching DW be a nuisance at every rehearsal, Miss Morgan makes the only reasonable decision and gives her the lead role of Little Red Riding Hood. What? DW is starting to have second thoughts about starring in the show, even though she spent the whole episode whining how she deserves to be the star. That night, DW has a nightmare where she's tormented by Emily's wolf persona and Amanda's spooky tree face. Geez, Amanda, take it down like 50 notches. DW then dreams about getting on stage, which is automatically heckled by the crowd, as she rightfully should be.
Well, how embarrassing.
Ironically, DW can't remember any of her lines, and Emily tells her to put on the Dastardly mask so she can show everyone how much of a dick she really is. It's the day of the show, and it looks like Little Red is riding blind. The play starts, and the red-caked queen struggles to utter a single line.
I'm Little Red, Little Red.
I swear, the three little pigs could build a whole house out of all the bricks she just shat.
I'm on my way to Wolf's house.
Are they getting Jack and the Beanstalk now? Because DW just laid a goose egg. DW goes from chewing the scenery to knocking it to the ground. Instead of letting the stupefied starlet stew in her own shame, Emily steps in to stop DW from humiliating herself any further. Not sure how that's going to be possible. Instead of rightfully reclaiming her role as Little Red, Emily instead elects to spoon-feed DW's lines to her one at a time. You know, to make things less humiliating. DW somehow manages to get through the entire show without drowning in a pool of her own flop sweat. And how does she thank Emily for saving her ass?
Next time, I'm sticking with tree number 2. It's a much better part.
Oh, go f*** yourself. So now that we've seen both episodes, let's determine which of these two terrible twerps is truly the more vicious brat. First up, we have Daniel Tiger, who insisted on hogging all of Katarina's costumes for himself. He got into a fight over a stupid tutu and only agreed to share after Katarina's mom intervened. When Katarina asked him to share his toy, Daniel refused to show his friend the same kindness. And even when Daniel finally decided to share, he only did so after Katarina agreed to let him have the tutu whenever he wanted. Up next, we have DW Reed, who ruined her preschool's play just so she could get the lead role. DW bullied her family into helping her prepare for her audition, and then refused to accept reality when she didn't get the part she wanted. Instead of supporting her best friend, DW spent the whole episode trying to bully Emily into giving up her role. When she couldn't bribe Emily into quitting, DW then tried to trick her into getting stage fright. DW's antics got so bad that both her teacher and her grandma had to tell her to cut the crap. When DW finally realized she needed to apologize to Emily, the world decided to reward her shitty behavior by giving her the lead role anyway. DW ended up getting exactly what she wanted, and then proceeded to shit the bed. DW ruined the show by flooding her lines and tearing the set to the ground. And even when Emily helped her get over her nerves, DW never actually apologized for trying to sabotage her, and showed no gratitude for being allowed to play a role she clearly wasn't prepared for. So while Daniel Tiger may be a massive pain in the ass, I think it's fair to say DW is the clear winner of this battle.
Thank you, thank you.
Though if it was an actual fight, I think we all know how that would turn out. F-U-D-W. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me do another Daniel Tiger vs. DW matchup video. This actually isn't the first time a voice actor for DW has gone on to voice another infamous cartoon character. The actor who voiced DW in the infamous Arthur's Big Hit episode went on to have a leading role in the criminally underrated PBS cartoon Zogwa, where he also played the actual sibling of the title character.
Rain Spear Dragon Storm Spit Fires.
Let me know if you'd like to see me do a matchup with those two characters as well. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission reviews from my channel. You can also become a channel member.
How dumb does a person have to be to get locked in the library? Well, why does he have to have such a stupid job? Why can't he do something exciting like everyone else? He can do it forever. Show off.
This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 4,000 likes. Arthur says it's hard to get mad at Francine, and I would strongly beg to differ. Even from the first day they met, it's clear just how far Francine has her claw sunk into the four-eyed feeble. Arthur says Francine will always have his back, as it gives her easy access to kick his ass. Francine is on the warpath, and accuses Arthur of telling everyone she looks like a marshmallow. Buster runs his big fat mouth and signs Arthur's death warrant for him.
So, what do you want to do about it? You better apologize or what? Or you're gonna get it.
Way to go, Buster. In class, Francine gives Arthur an official declaration of war, as it looks like every girl in class is lining up to beat the crap out of him.
This is all your fault. You're the one who called her a marshmallow.
Yeah, and you're the one who didn't shut up about it. So half the ass-kicking should go to you. Buster tries to make a run for it when Mr. Ratburn gives the kids their next assignment.
What makes a hero or heroine? That is the question I want you to think about over the weekend.
How is that an assignment? That's the vaguest crap I've ever heard. Mr. Ratburn divides the kids into pairs for oral presentations. And guess who Arthur gets paired with?
Arthur with Francine.
Nice knowing you.
Turns out Francine is so petty that she calls Arthur's house to rat him out to his bratty little sister. DW chews him out for being so mean, because it's not like DW has ever been mean to Francine.
Why don't you go back to your own house and stop bothering us?
Try me, bitch.
The next day, Arthur meets Francine at the library, even though she refuses to talk to him. The two split up to do research as Francine storms off with her color-changing backpack. Arthur actually tries to get some work done, while Francine wastes the day reading her knockoff Goosebumps books. Arthur ends up falling asleep and doesn't wake up until after the library is closed, even though someone surely would have seen him asleep on the couch and woken his ass up before they locked up for the night. Arthur tries to leave, only to find the doors are locked from the outside. Arthur panics that the library is going to eat him. He cautiously wanders the aisles and ends up finding a monster in the dark.
Ah! You!
Francine chews out Arthur for getting them locked in the library, even though he was dead-ass asleep the whole time. What's Francine's excuse?
How dumb does a person have to be to get locked in the library?
I don't know. You tell me. The two try to escape as Francine still insists she's not talking to Arthur, because she's clearly got her priorities straight. Instead of looking for the emergency exit, the two try to escape out the window by building a giant tower of books.
Hey! Whoa! Thanks. I was almost there.
Their scheme comes crashing down around them as they realize they'll be trapped in the library all weekend. Arthur worries DW will take advantage of his disappearance and take over his room. I wouldn't put it past her. Francine looks up a book on escaping from libraries and nearly crushes Arthur's spine trying to find it.
Somebody must have checked it out. Who would need a book on escaping from a library unless they were already in a library?
Why would that book exist at all? Arthur drops Francine on her ass, but sadly doesn't paralyze her. Just then, the phone rings, and Francine insists on answering it herself. Turns out Muffy called the library to have books delivered directly to her house, like the lazy, entitled little brat she is. Francine tries to get Muffy's attention and ends up fumbling the bag.
Francine? I must have dialed the wrong number. What did you do?
Francine then tries to call her parents, only to find she needs a specific code to dial out. Gee, if only there was some kind of portable phone children could carry on them in case of emergencies. Arthur starts to have a panic attack when Francine tells him to stop being a wimp. Arthur responds by telling her to quit being a bossy know-it-all.
Marshmallow.
Aw, shit. Francine storms off as she'd rather die alone than try to escape with Arthur. Good riddance if you ask me. The madness takes control of Arthur's mind as he resorts to eating pictures of food. We've all been there. Arthur goes to check if Francine has gotten herself killed when he hears a scream coming from the employee break room. He runs in blind and falls face first into day-old pizza. Hilarious. Turns out Francine was just watching old movies and vegging out. Arthur chews out the loudmouth lunkhead for scaring the crap out of him. Francine refuses to apologize as she's still bitter about being called a marshmallow. Arthur points out Francine has said way worse stuff to him, like the time she made fun of him for wearing glasses and having all his baby teeth, which I've already covered in depth in another video. Check it out. Francine changes her attitude when she realizes Arthur was worried about her. This gives her ego the boost it needs to let her forgive Arthur, and the two pig out on junk food. Unfortunately, their good time comes to an end when DW shows up to break up the party.
You're in big trouble.
That Monday, Arthur and Francine are bragging about their weekend escapades when they realize they forgot to do the whole report. The two try to come up with a last-minute plan, while Muffy explains why her father is the sole reason Elwood City has avoided financial ruin. Buster, do you have anything to add?
No.
Hell yeah, Buster. Get that minimum effort passing grade. Arthur is ready to take the F when Francine tries to spin their traumatic experience into a half-assed report.
When we were locked in the library, it might have been really terrible. But then Arthur came to rescue me because he thought I was in danger.
Her speech wins over the class, but Radford says they still need to do the actual assignment. Damn. That afternoon, Arthur is telling Buster how nice Francine is when the she-devil splashes them both with mud. Because of course she does. Let's review. Francine threatened to kick Arthur's ass for making fun of her, even though she's consistently done way worse to him. Arthur was forced to do an oral report with her even after she sent him a blatant death threat. She refused to talk to him and tried to control every aspect of the report. When the two got locked in the library, she blamed Arthur for getting them stuck and refused to work with him to break out. She only forgave him when Arthur feigned the minimal amount of concern for her and agreed to stop being a pain. She completely forgot to do the report and tried to ramble her way into a passing grade. And even after she made up with Arthur, she went right back to treating him like absolute crap. F you, Francine. Arthur and Buster try out for Little League Baseball, even though Buster can't throw with a band, and Arthur can't catch for sure. But that doesn't matter since everyone apparently makes the team, at least everyone in the show with a name. The kids argue over who should be the pitcher, while Francine reminds them that it's up to the coach to decide, which would be rather mature of her if the coach wasn't her damn dad. Gee, I wonder who he's gonna pick.
Hi, Daddy!
Oh god, don't tell me Francine is a daddy's girl. I already got one of those on my channel. The kids take turns pitching, as Francine turns out to be a better pitcher than a pitcher. Francine is appalled when her father dares to criticize her pitching and tries to club her in the knee with the ball. The kids next move to the outfield, where Arthur fumbles every single catch. Mr. Frensky tries to keep things positive, while his diabolical daughter briefly laughs at Arthur behind his back, even though she clearly has no room to talk. This is why you don't go outside, ever. After practice, Buster calls out Francine for her bogus ball skills, who deflects to teasing Arthur to protect her own ego. Francine tries to make fun of Arthur, only to find her friends have ditched her ass a long time ago. Arthur is nervous for his first game, while Buster's mom tries to baby-proof the baseball field.
I was just wondering, is that ball very hard? Are those hats made of wool? I think he's allergic to wool.
I'm starting to see why Buster's dad left. Buster gives Francine another gentle ribbing as the future yandere again defaults to shitting on Arthur's inability to hold onto a ball for more than 2 seconds. Buster tries to help his best friend by giving him his secret good luck charm. Where have I seen this thing before? Arthur tries to catch a fly ball and ends up scoring a home run for the other team.
Here, I think it's broken.
Buster, be honest, how many tetanus shots do you burn through in a year? Arthur's team loses the game, but Mr. Frensky still takes the kids out for ice cream.
When the fuck did we get ice cream?
Francine continues to openly mock her team and nearly starts a brawl in the middle of the ice cream parlor, while Arthur is so upset that he walks home by himself. Arthur's parents try to cheer him up when DW decides to open her big fat mouth.
Now if he can only catch the ball.
DW.
No, she's right.
Don't you ever say those words again. Meanwhile, Francine tries to convince her dad to kick Arthur off the team.
I can't even throw straight because I'm busy thinking what dumb thing he's gonna do next.
Well, maybe your aim would be better if you tried fucking all the way off. Mr. Frensky tries to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by making Francine Arthur's personal coach, which would be like hiring London Tipton to be your driving instructor. The next day, Francine goes to visit her future food ray.
Did you remember something mean you forgot to say yesterday?
Damn, Ted or Arthur, Francine leaves her ego at the door, for once, and teaches Arthur how not to suck at catching, while Arthur teaches her to not suck at pitching.
Well, if you didn't keep striking out and dropping balls, I wouldn't have had to tease you. At least when I throw it, it lands in the same neighborhood.
These two are gonna have some bonkers hate sex in their 20s. The two make up as Francine finally apologizes for being so mean.
Well, maybe sometimes you overdo it just a little.
Hey, don't let her off the hook that easy. Francine tells Arthur to call her out if she ever acts like a jerk again. And if he doesn't, then I sure as hell will. The kids have somehow made it to the playoffs without tearing each other to shreds. Mr. Frensky reminds his team he'll be proud of them whether they win or lose.
If you lose, you drive us to the outskirts of town and leave us there? No, Binky. I'll never get to see the outskirts of town.
Damn it, Binky, you hyped it up so much, now I want to see the outskirts of town. The game begins, and Arthur's team is surprisingly able to keep their head above water, even though everyone is playing in their goddamn jeans. Arthur and Francine successfully work together to prevent the other team from scoring. The two prematurely congratulate each other, while Buster ends up losing the game. Francine is about to tear Buster a new one when Arthur reminds her to not be an asshole. Francine thanks Arthur for calling her out, so you can think she's learned her lesson, right? Wrong.
Basketball season is coming up, and if you stink at that, I get to tease you all over again.
God freaking damn it. What's her name? Francine spent the entirety of baseball season making fun of Arthur's poor hand-eye coordination to distract from the fact that she can't pitch worth a damn. She blamed everyone for their losing streak, except herself, and brought down the morale of the whole team. Instead of addressing her own faults, she tried to get Arthur kicked off the team. She only agreed to play nice with Arthur when her father promoted her to assistant coach. And even when the two got along without tearing each other's throats out, Francine promised to continue tormenting Arthur for the rest of his life. F you, Francine. Arthur imagines what it would like to have the perfect dad, whether he be a drag racer, a transformer, or just an ordinary dad who doesn't boink your teacher on the weekends. Speaking of which, Mr. Radburn announces the class will be taking a field trip to see where their parents work, including Francine's dad. Catherine questions why Francine isn't mortified at the thought of her friends finding out their father is a garbage man. Catherine bluntly asks her father when he's going to get a real job, even though garbage collectors tend to get paid more than most white-collar jobs, including teaching. The next day, the kids go to visit Mr. Crosswire, who apparently modeled his entire career and wardrobe off Matilda's dad.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
He offers to let the kids test drive the cars when Mr. Radburn cuts the tour short.
I think we'll pass. And back to the bus, everyone. We're running late.
Thanks a lot, you soggy sack of party poop. The kids are en route to their next stop when Francine's dad drives by in his smelly-ass truck. Francine distracts everyone by spitting her gum on the ceiling. Gross. The kids next visit the Brains ice cream shop, where Buster creates a new ice cream flavor by combining pizza and bananas. Whoa, what the hell's all that other junk? Was that all just sitting at the bottom of the dispenser? When's the last time they cleaned this damn machine? The class is going to visit Mr. Frensky tomorrow, and Francine worries her father will embarrass her in front of her friends. Francine is so self-conscious that she tries to get her mom to make her dad cancel the field trip. She goes on to parrot her older sister as Francine claims her dad should be ashamed of his job.
Well, why does he have to have such a stupid job? Why can't he do something exciting like everyone else?
Well, why don't you get a job to pay for rented food, and then I'll ask for your damn opinion. Francine doesn't have the heart or the balls to tell her dad what she really thinks of his job. The next day, the class gets to the dump, and Francine tries to save her ass by claiming her dad is working undercover. She tells her friends not to blow his cover, unless they want the FBI to wipe boogers on their neck. That's what that gesture means, right? Buffy sets one foot inside the dump, and threatens to sue if she gets any dirt on her. Mr. Frensky ends up winning over his daughter's class after he shows them all the deadly machines he gets to work with. And don't get me wrong, all of this is badass. But how exactly did the school get approval to take these kids to an open dump site? Dangerous equipment aside, these kids are definitely going to need a tetanus shot after this field trip. Mr. Frensky next takes the kids to a hand-built playground made from recycled materials. Francine comes to appreciate her father's job as she proudly proclaims her father is a garbage man. And the episode ends before we get to see Mr. Radburn take a private field trip to Mr. Reed's bakery to have his buns glazed. Let's review. Francine became embarrassed of her father's job. Even though garbage collection is a damn respectable profession, she did everything in her power to keep his job a secret from her friends and tried to get him to cancel his on-site field trip. She lied to her friends and threatened them with death if they told anyone about her father's job. And it was only when Francine took the time to see what her father does that she came around to appreciate his job. But that's still not as bad as the time Francine threw out her dad's favorite bike. The episode opens with Francine pushing all her friends to the ground so she can get to her bike. Looks like nobody taught this apathetic asshat how to say excuse me. Arthur explains how Francine mastered the two-wheeler while the rest of her friends were still pissing in their Pampers. Thankfully, Karma's caught up with the shit-brain show-off, and now Francine can barely pedal her teeny-tiny bike without having the saddle ride all the way up her ass. Francine's parents explain how they just don't have enough money to get her a new bike. Francine says she'll positively die if she doesn't have a bike. Is that a promise? Mr. Frensky generously offers to give his daughter his old bike, but not before taking it out for one last hurrah. Francine reluctantly accepts the paltry and practical present in the most backhanded way possible.
At least it's big enough.
I mean, you could always have no bike and just walk your ungrateful ass to school. The next day, Francine pulls up to school in her brand new hand-me-down and immediately starts capping.
I could have had any bike I wanted, but I chose this one.
Buffy jumps at the chance to shit on Francine's crappy bike, while simultaneously bragging on herself.
Too bad you couldn't get one like mine.
Why do you even have a bike? Did your limo run out of gas? In class, the kids are learning about the history of the wheel, and Buster takes the opportunity to humiliate Francine in front of the whole class.
Can anyone tell us what these early Sumerians might have done with their new wheel?
Build Francine's bicycle?
See, Francine, doesn't feel so good when it happens to you, does it? Buffy tries to defend her best friend, but ends up reading her for absolute filth.
It's not her fault she has to ride an ugly old bicycle and wear fashionable hand-me-downs. Just think how you would feel.
Damn, the library is open. Instead of telling everyone to back off like she normally does, Francine decides to ditch her bike in the middle of the woods as if it was Todd from Fox and the Hound. That night, Francine tries to shame her father into buying her a new bike.
Why couldn't you just get me a new bike?
We don't have enough money right now.
Hey, Mr. Frensky, not to belittle your point, but remember what you said a few episodes ago?
What would I do with money?
This is what you would do with money. No, I'm not talking about getting a new bike. I'm saying you should use the money to ship Francine's green back to Siberia. The next day, Francine is horrified to find the trash collectors have confiscated her bike. Even though it's her own damn fault for leaving it out all night, Francine then lies to her friends that the bike was stolen.
Can I draw or what?
What? Her friends convince her to go to the principal, where she digs herself in deeper by claiming an evil garbage truck tried to kill her while stealing her bike. Principal Haney stupidly believes her story, while her friends assume Francine is covering for the real thief.
And now the question is, which one of us knows how to drive a bike truck?
Francine then tells her parents that the bike was stolen by thieves in helicopters, because she clearly wants to be caught in a lie. The Frensky parents believe their deceitful daughter, while Catherine can smell Francine's bullshit from a mile away. Francine nearly comes clean to her father when she chickens out at the last second. Meanwhile, Buffy assumes Beaky stole Francine's bike and rallies the rest of the students into an angry mob to run him out of town. The kids are about to dogpile Beaky when Francine finally tells the truth.
Now everyone hates me, thanks to you.
Don't worry, Muffy. Everyone already hated you. Mr. Frensky finds the bike in the garbage and comes to the realization that his daughter is also garbage. Francine admits she threw out the bike so her friends would stop teasing her.
And I bought it but got stolen. And maybe you'd buy me a new one.
There it is. Francine tries to make it up to her father by customizing the bike with junkyard scrap, because trash deserves trash. The two finish pimping Francine's ride, and Mr. Frensky takes it for a spin. The episode cuts to black before we see Mr. Frensky decide to steal the bike for himself. Let's review. Francine tried to guilt her parents into buying her a new bike, even though it was clear they couldn't afford to. She turned her nose up at her father after he offered her a perfectly usable bike and was embarrassed to be seen with it in public. Her ego was so fragile that she ditched her bike and then lied about it to try to save her own ass. She only told the truth after her friends threatened to beat the shit out of Beaky. And even though she finally apologized to her dad, it's clear Francine has no respect for her father or his line of work. God help her when she grows up and has to get her own blue-collar job just to pay the rent. F you, Francine.
And I
Francine, asking her friends about their personal tastes. Lucky says there's nothing more important than clothes, while DW enjoys singing along to ear-bleeding nonsense. If you're gonna sing that crap, could you at least sing in tune? The Reeds are having a yard sale when DW tries to sell her brother's toys behind his back.
Where'd you get that? Storage. Hey, these are mine.
Arthur, why do you have a toy model of your family car? Francine pulls up and convinces the Reeds to give her their ottoman for free, which comes with a built-in foot warmer and TV dinner tray. Gee, I wonder why they were giving it away. Catherine chews out her little sister for cluttering up the room with another piece of random crapola. Francine points out Catherine is just as bad, as she's covered their room with more lace than a Victoria's Secret warehouse. Mrs. Frensky tries to make peace with her daughters by offering to paint their room, which makes no sense since they technically rent this place. Francine wants to paint it purple, while Catherine insists on mauve, even though they're the same damn color. Francine goes to her friends to get inspiration for her new room, and settles on a gothic basketball court design. Because Francine's clearly not like other girls, Catherine insists on turning the room into a scene out of Wuthering Heights, which is rather ironic considering what happens to the Catherine in that story. Mr. Frensky suggests they combine their ideas, and Catherine says she would rather sleep in the living room than compromise with the bowl-cut bully. Guess where this leads? Catherine moves her bed into the living room and almost immediately starts redecorating the whole apartment.
She's like bacteria from a space meteorite. She spreads everywhere.
Spreads what? Francine tries to reorganize her room to her liking, but finds it's just too empty. DW says Francine is lucky, and bitches how she still has to share a room with her baby sister. DW fantasizes about turning her dad's workspace into her own private bedroom, where she can hang out with her imaginary friends and cast her brother into the fiery pits of hell. Arthur suggests Francine should get more stuff to decorate her room with. Instead of going to a store, like a normal person, Francine goes to the dump to find her decorations. If a decorator wants to get tetanus, Francine fails to find any facts that compliments her until she stumbles upon the perfect accessory. Francine, that's not that one. This is a bad one. That night, Francine is a nightmare where her mobile turns into a vampire bat and tries to eat her. Who would guess the toughest girl in the room is a big fat chicken? I'll have to remember that for when I cover this episode.
Watch out! The bats! Ah, get away!
The next day, Francine makes peace with Catherine by offering her the tea set she found at the dump. Gross. Francine confesses she misses having a roommate, while Catherine admits she misses having a room with at least a hint of privacy.
The walls are so thick.
God only knows what she's overheard the past few nights. The two agree to move back in together and combine their tastes to create Wuthering Heights. Sometime later, Francine shows off her room to her friends and gets some cholera with her contaminated tea set. What's her name? Francine insisted on going to Susan's junk just to annoy her older sister. The savvy siblings got at each other's throats until Catherine insisted on moving into the living room. When Francine finally got her own room, she was instantly overwhelmed by the empty space and tried to fill it with random trash. The two only made up once they realized that it sucks ass. And even when they finally agreed to decorate the room, they somehow created the most god-awful design man. Also, FUDW for trying to sell your brother's toys and fantasizing about killing him. But that's still not as bad as the time Francine and Catherine nearly killed each other over horse riding lessons. The kids are in art class when the teacher tells them to make a drawing of their secret dream. The teacher draws a prototype for ChatGPT, while luckily illustrates her self-obsessed fantasy. Francine dreams of being an Olympic rider. The teacher turned out to be a horse girl. Francine reveals she's still not riding lessons.
I saved $30 whole. You said if I could save the money, you'd take me.
Nowadays, I wouldn't even cover the Uber ride to the lessons. Francine is pissed when her parents try to back out of their deal. Turns out the lessons are during the day when both her parents are at work, because I guess Mrs. Frensky has some secret off-screen job we've never seen. Just then, the solution comes walking through the door. Catherine gets roped into escorting Francine to her riding lessons, while making sure to bitch and moan all the way there.
I can't believe I have to do this. Mom and Dad are paying for the lessons, and it wasn't cheap.
Wait, I thought you were paying for them. I knew there's no way those lessons only cost $30, even in 1996. God damn it, I'm old. Catherine is ready to ditch her sister when her eyes go full of wooga for the instructor. Catherine insists on staying around so she can get her own private riding lesson. Francine is dismayed that horses seem to hate her, just like every other animal on the show. She fails to take control of her steed and falls on her ass trying to mount him.
This will be a lot easier in a few years when you're tall.
At least with the poor little steps. Catherine turns out to be a natural rider, while Francine is too scared to trot more than 2 miles an hour. Even in
us too, bossy. Yes, Fluffy. Me too.
Damn, Francine's dreams go hard. The next day, Francine starts to get in the face, as even her horse starts taking the lead.
Okay, Rocco, back to the barn. And no more leaves.
But you gotta deny my man his leaves. Just then, Francine overhears Stanley offering Catherine a job in exchange for free lessons. But what about Francine? Stanley admits she still has a lot to learn if she wants to be a competent rider. How does Francine react to this fair and balanced criticism? By running away and giving up horse riding for good, even though her parents already paid for another full week of lessons. Catherine tries to convince her to see it through. Francine tells her to fuck off. The next day, Francine is hanging out at Arthur's house where DW insists on playing a game.
Mom says if you're not doing anything, then we can play covered wagon. You can be the horse who dies first.
Are there no child asylums in Elwood City? Because if there are, they might be missing a patient. Francine stupidly agrees to play horsey with a dim-witted demon child, until she nags her to death.
It's not called horsey.
Wait, play that back. Holy shit, the meme is real! I feel like I'm about to get a phone call saying I only have 7 days to live. Catherine finally convinces Francine to rejoin her lessons, even though she still refuses to get on a horse. She spends the afternoon giving her older sister the stink eye and taunting her horse with food. Catherine comes up with a compromise where she'll help Francine improve her riding in exchange for help around the barn. Francine agrees to the deal, even though she'll be getting the same lessons as before, but now with an unpaid internship on top of it. The sisters finally make up and decide to pool their resources to buy a horse of their own. Their truce quickly falls apart when they get into a shouting match over what to name the horse.
I'm not calling my horse Stanley. It's our horse.
Mr. Frensky overhears the commotion and decides to ignore it for the safety of his own life. And we never see Stanley again after this episode, because he probably skipped town after going on 2 dates with Catherine and realizing just how intense she is. Trust me, as someone who dated a horse girl for 3 years, you don't want to get mixed up with that shit. Let's review. Francine begged her parents for riding lessons, even though she'd never been near a horse in her whole life. She failed to do the most basic steps and almost got trampled by her horse. Almost. Meanwhile, Catherine was forced to take her stepsister's lessons, but changed her attitude once she got the hops from the instructor. She showed up her sister at every chance, giving Francine's ego a much-needed reality check. Francine quit her lessons out of spite and only agreed to come back when Catherine made a rare gesture of good faith. And even when the two sisters finally made up, they went right back to fighting the first chance they got. Also, F-U-E-W for annoying your brother and making the face that launched a million memes. And of course, for driving each other crazy with their pointless arguments and competitions. F you, Francine and Catherine.
Hey, I have a Patreon. Sign up at patreon.com/MattNeff to get your name in the thank you credits.
Just want to say, on our hearts, M-U-D-W! Definitions class. Take that, Dino Surface.
This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Sign up at patreon.com/MattNeff to get your name in the... Viewers like you. Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe and help get this video to 2,000 likes. Caillou's parents bring Rosie home from the hospital. Caillou was excited to meet his newborn sister for the first time, until his parents started giving her all their affection. Rosie is less than a week old, and already Caillou's parents know she's a good child. Caillou is mad he's no longer the center of attention, and sets out to make Rosie's life a living hell. He trashes his own dog because it reminds him too much of his sister. Sexist much?
Wrong. Or when
Daddy stupidly asks his 2.5-year-old son if he wants to hold the baby. Caillou yells in Daddy's face, which somehow doesn't lead to an instant ass-whooping. Daddy makes the grave mistake of leaving baby Rosie alone for 2 seconds, as Caillou puts his dastardly scheme into action. He tricks Rosie into thinking he likes her and then promptly pinches her until she cries. Geez, even DW never went that far.
That mackerel will pinch you!
Rosie cries her head off as Caillou refuses to stop pinching her until Daddy rips her from his arms. Daddy scolds his son for the first time in his life, which isn't very effective when your voice has all the cadence of Mr. McFeely's bottom bitch.
Why did you do that to Rosie?
Your voice sounds stupid.
Caillou shows no remorse for torturing his baby sister.
proudly proclaiming he doesn't like her. Instead of grounding Caillou for the rest of his life, Daddy tries to reason with the balding bad seed. Caillou says he hates his sister because she doesn't want to play. Even though he's made it clear up till now, he was jealous of all the attention she was getting. Daddy tells Caillou it's his duty as a big brother to protect his defenseless little sister. Rosie, you poor bastard. Daddy indirectly punishes Caillou by making him help change Rosie's diaper, since clearly every member of this family is full of shit. Also, how did he change her diaper without taking off her onesie? The world may never know. Caillou brags to Mommy that he helps change Rosie, even though he clearly did a damn thing. She's just as sweet as Daddy and allows the bratty baby to hold his sister. Caillou remarks how good Rosie smells, which makes me nervous about what Caillou thinks they're having for dinner. Let's review. Caillou got jealous of his newborn baby sister because he was no longer the center of attention. He decided he hated her and set out to torture her until she cried. And even when he got caught, he was only punished with a slap on the wrist, ensuring Rosie's childhood will be a formidable hell. F you, Caillou. Caillou is banging on his toy drums when his mom tells him to knock that shit off. Baby Rosie needs to take a nap, but Caillou wants to play. Caillou's mom tells him to play quietly. Caillou says fuck that and dumps his Legos all over the floor. Caillou decides to make cookies after looking at a blank book. Caillou goes to the kitchen right when the acid kicks in. Caillou tries to grab the honey pot off the top shelf and knocks everything onto the floor. He makes the mess worse with his half-baked, half-assed honey cookies. Caillou gets caught by his mom and starts crying like a little bitch. Instead of sending Caillou to his room, his mom rewards his bad behavior by making him cookies after she does 90% of the cleanup. The next day, Caillou takes full credit for making the cookies and gleefully makes an even bigger mess like the little shit he is. Let's review. Caillou was as loud and obnoxious as possible despite his mom's objections. He tried to make cookies unsupervised and ended up trashing the whole kitchen. And even after he got caught, his mother did nothing to punish him, ensuring he'll grow up to be an even louder and messier psychopath. F you, Caillou. Caillou is scared of his next-door neighbor and tries hiding in his mom's humongous ass. Mr. Hinkle tries to say hello, only for Caillou to run off like a total pussy. Mr. Hinkle goes to apologize to Caillou. This kid's cartoon got banned after showing a girl's boobs explode. Yeah, let's talk about that episode of Braceface. The Season 3 episode Busted showed a teenage girl trying to fill out her figure with a padded bra. This drastically backfires, however, when her plan literally blows up in her face. This episode was so controversial, not only did they ban reruns, but it didn't even air in the United States. I briefly mentioned this episode in one of my YouTube shorts, and at the time of upload, this 2.5-minute short is the most popular video on my channel, and I'm pretty sure I know why. So I figured it only made sense to talk about the full episode to see if it's really that controversial. But before that, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a hype since I guess that's still a feature. For some quick context, Braceface is an animated teen comedy that premiered on Teletoon in the early 2000s. If you live in the States, you might remember seeing a couple episodes on Disney Channel in between reruns of Lizzie McGuire and Even Stevens. But despite having 78 episodes, only about half ever aired on Disney Channel. And that's because the show tackled a lot of mature themes that were probably too risque for the almighty mouse, like period cramps, eating disorders, and as we'll see in this episode, body image. So let's look at the most controversial episode of Braceface to see if it's just as busted as everyone says. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 10,000 likes. Sharon is at the mall with her friends. She buys the mall juice with her fake-ass Monopoly money and is surprised when her food comes with a toy. The user says little kids get a free toy with their meal. But Sharon's not a little kid. The hell are you laughing at? She just got a free toy. Sharon is humiliated, but her friends tell her not to overreact.
When they get that old, they can't tell the difference between 13 and 14.
I don't want to know a grown man who's going to speak to 13 and 14-year-old girls. Sharon finds out the mall will be hosting a fashion concert with her favorite rock band, Mangled Metal, which was also the original title of the show. She says the girl on the poster looks like Elvis Records for Nina. Good thing Nina's not standing directly behind her. Oh, great. Nina says Sharon would be better off modeling a fashion show for toddlers, and then returns to the pit of hell from when she came. The girls go to see a movie, and Sharon is appalled when she's asked for the age. The ticket taker says, sorry, he's 14 and you got to be 14. Sharon fishes out her stupid idea while the girls are looking for her. Let's see if the ticket guy asks her there. What the? Sharon is so bitchy she has to show her ID, and Allison says obviously because the other girls didn't get hurt. Why? Because they're like a foot tall. Sharon, I understand. You're a grown man talking to a teenager. The only place you should be looking is the top of her head. Sharon is jealous she's not as the best as the other girls. The man sitting next to her quickly wishes he was in a different show. The girls try to watch 007, but all Sharon can think about are double D's. Sharon's mom looks more mature by buying a ticket for a movie she's already seen. Sharon feels even more validated when all the boys at school start paying more attention to her. But I doubt any of them clock the color of her eyes on her. They seem to get more uncomfortable when Sharon runs into her stepbrother Griffin. Not them all to quote-unquote scope some babes. Gross. The girls go to the fashion show, where Sharon gets jealous of Nina's dress.
That dress is just gorgeous. And it's padded, too.
Well, if that's not the pot calling the kettle stuff, Sharon tries to one-up the girl by upping her girls. She tells the boy she'll catch them on the bottom, and Griffin might catch flies if he doesn't close his damn mouth. We can only hope her stepbrother isn't as clueless as the stepbrother in Clueless. The girls get ready for the party, and it looks like Sharon is going as Mrs. McDonald. She plans to one-up Nina by wearing her own dress to the party. Sharon claims she's not afraid to show off her new look, and then hides her from her mom like the hypocrite she is. We then cut to the concert, where Mangled Metal is rocking so hard, half the crowd's faces have melted off. Sharon shows up, and it isn't long before the boys are like, even her friends in the band are hypnotized by her bionic bra. Sharon tries to flirt with an older boy named Jeremy, which goes about as well as you'd expect.
You went and checked to Saskatoon.
And people are entering?
I don't really get that joke, but Saskatoon, I guess. Jeremy tells Sharon to save her dance. Keep your damn hands to yourself. Maria tells her not to get ahead of herself, and Sharon tells her to quit being a Jonah Fruit. Speaking of fruits, Nina calls out Sharon for copying her look.
That dress sure looks better on me. And I didn't have to step a bunch of Kleenex in it.
Nina accuses her of stuffing the bra, and Sharon tries to retort that the bra is greased up. And even Maria knows that's not a good comeback. The girls hit the dance floor, and it looks like Teen Epstein is back, until Jeremy steps in to be like, hey, get lost, you losers, before I turn your kitchen to Sharon dances while Nina tries to hook up with Sharon's stepbrother, because the girl clearly has no shame.
Are you really related to Braceface?
Braceface? Griffin, you should probably know the name of the show you're on. Meanwhile, Sharon starts to realize that maybe Jeremy isn't as nice as he looks on. He keeps touching her thigh like a f***ing creep, and tries to kiss her without warning.
What are you doing?
Sharon is about to punch him in the dick when her bra remote gets crushed. Oops. Sharon's bra starts to malfunction as her chest keeps expanding out of control. Maria comes up with a plan to sneak Sharon out of the party, but instead of sneaking out the back exit or going to the bathroom to remove the bra, Sharon wanders through the crowd in the least conspicuous way possible.
Almost there.
Unsurprisingly, her disguise quickly falls apart as the concert comes to a dead stop. The crowd ogles at the impending car wreck as Sharon blows a headlight. This kid's cartoon got banned after showing a girl's boobs explode. Yeah, let's talk about that episode of Braceface. The season 3 episode Busted showed a teenage girl trying to fill out her figure with a padded bra. This drastically backfires, however, when her plan literally blows up in her face. This episode was so controversial, not only did they ban reruns, but it didn't even air in the United States. I briefly mentioned this episode in one of my YouTube shorts, and at the time of upload, this 2.5-minute short is the most popular video on my channel, and I'm pretty sure I know why. So I figured it only made sense to talk about the full episode to see if it's really that controversial. But before that, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a hype, since I guess that's still a feature. For some quick context, Braceface is an animated teen comedy that premiered on Teletoon in the early 2000s. If you live in the States, you might remember seeing a couple episodes on Disney Channel in between reruns of Lizzie McGuire and Even Stevens. But despite having 78 episodes, only about half ever aired on Disney Channel. And that's because the show tackled a lot of mature themes that were probably too risque for the almighty mouse, like period cramps, eating disorders, and as we'll see in this episode, body image. So let's look at the most controversial episode of Braceface to see if it's just as busted as everyone says. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 10,000 likes. Sharon is at the mall with her friends. She buys the mall juice with her fake-ass Monopoly money and is surprised when her food comes with a toy. The juicer says little kids get a free toy with their meal. But Sharon's not a little kid. The hell are you laughing at? She just got a free toy. Sharon is humiliated, but her friends tell her not to overreact.
When they get that old, they can't tell the difference between 13 and 14.
I don't want to know a grown man who can distinguish between 13 and 14-year-old girls. Sharon finds out the mall will be hosting a fashion concert with her favorite rock band, Mangled Metal, which was also the original title of the show. She says the girl on the poster looks like a less bitchy version of her arch-rival Nina. Good thing Nina's not standing directly behind her. Oh, wait. Nina says Sharon would be better off modeling a fashion show for toddlers, and then returns to the pit of hell from whence she came. The girls go to see a movie, and Sharon is appalled when she's asked for proof of age. The ticket taker says, sorry, the movie's 14A, which means you gotta be 14, eh? Sharon fishes out her student ID, while the girls from the food court cut in front of her. Let's see if the ticket guy asks for their IDs. Dude, what the f***?
Sharon is still miffed she had to show her ID, and Allison says there's an obvious reason why the other girls didn't get carded. Why? Because they're like a foot taller than Sharon? I'm just saying, if you're a grown man talking to a teenage girl, the only place you should be looking is the top of her head. Sharon is jealous she's not as developed as the other girls, and the man sitting next to her clearly wishes he was in a different show. The girls try to watch 007, but all Sharon can think about are double Ds. Sharon's mom assures her all the women in their family are late bloomers.
I was shaped just like you, and I turned out fine. Well, thank you for agreeing.
What? I never said the show wasn't funny. Sharon decides to get a new outfit for the party. She wants a top that makes her look 14A, but only manages to look 14-eh. Sharon is sick of being in the itty-bitty titty committee, so the manager introduces her to the bra of the future. She explains the electric pump-up bra can increase your chest size at the press of a button, because what woman doesn't want double Ds that run on double As?
You're wearing it now?
No, really? Sharon buys the R2D cups and ends up wearing them out of the store. She tries to prove she looks more mature by buying a ticket for a movie she's already seen. Sharon feels even more validated when all the boys at school start paying more attention to her, though I doubt any of them clocked what color her eyes are. Things only get more uncomfortable when Sharon runs into her stepbrother Griffin, who's at the mall to quote-unquote scope some babes. Gross. The girls go to the fashion show, where Sharon gets jealous of Nina's dress.
That dress is just gorgeous. And it's padded, too.
Well, if that's not the pot calling the kettle stuffed, Sharon tries to one-up the girl by upping her girls. She tells the boy she'll catch them on the fly, and Griffin might catch flies if he doesn't close his damn mouth. We can only hope her stepbrother isn't as clueless as the stepbrother in Clueless. The girls get ready for the party, and it looks like Sharon is going as Mrs. McDonald. She plans to one-up Nina by wearing her own dress to the party. Sharon claims she's not afraid to show off her new look, and then hides from her mom like the hypocrite she is. We then cut to the concert, where Mangled Metal is rocking so hard, half the crowd's faces have melted off. Sharon shows up, and it isn't long before the boys are like, even her friends in the band are hypnotized by her bionic bra. Sharon tries to flirt with an older boy named Jeremy, which goes about as well as you'd expect.
You can win a trip to Saskatoon.
And people are entering?
I don't really get that joke, but Saskatoon, I guess. Jeremy tells Sharon to save her a dance. Boy, keep your damn hands to yourself. Maria tells her not to get ahead of herself, and Sharon tells her to quit being a jealous shrew. Speaking of shrews, Nina calls out Sharon for copying her look.
That dress still looked better on me. And I didn't have to stuff a bunch of Kleenex in it.
Nina accuses her of stuffing her bra, and Sharon tries to retort that the bra is pre-stuffed. And even Maria knows that's not a good comeback. The girls hit the dance floor, and it looks like Teen Epstein is back, until Jeremy steps in to be like, hey, get lost, you hoser, before I turn your gitch into a toque. The two share a dance, while Nina tries to hook up with Sharon's stepbrother, because the girl clearly has no shame.
Are you really related to Braceface?
Braceface?
Griffin, you should probably know the name of the show you're on. Meanwhile, Sharon starts to realize that maybe Jeremy isn't as nice as he lets on. He keeps touching her thigh like a f***ing creep and tries to kiss her without warning.
What are you doing?
Sharon is about to punch him in the dick when her bra remote gets crushed. Oops. Sharon's bra starts to malfunction as her chest keeps expanding out of control. Maria comes up with a plan to sneak Sharon out of the party, but instead of sneaking out the back exit or going to the bathroom to remove the bra, Sharon wanders through the crowd in the least conspicuous way possible.
Almost there.
Unsurprisingly, her disguise quickly falls apart as the concert comes to a dead stop. The crowd ogles at the impending car wreck as Sharon blows a headlight. Now I'm just imagining the poor animator who had to storyboard this scene. Sharon is humiliated as her bra and her social life blow up at the same time. Griffin takes her home and assures her everyone will eventually forget about it. Though even in an age before cell phone videos, I doubt people will quickly forget the girl with exploding boobs. Maybe they should have called this episode Bra Face. So yeah, I can see why this episode was deemed so controversial. I get the moral they're trying to convey, but there has to be a better way to talk about teen body image than by having someone's bra explode. This plot has been done a lot better in other animated series like The Proud Family. In the episode Hip Hop Helicopter, Penny and her friends get chastised by their parents for going on TV in outfits that are a bit too revealing for their age. The girls think their parents are just overreacting, until they go to a high school party and realize the older boys are only interested in getting under their shirts. These stories highlight how young girls are over-sexualized by the media in order to appeal to the male gaze. It doesn't shame the characters for wanting to be seen as mature, but rather highlights the unfair social stigma that comes with said maturity. All Sharon wanted was to not be treated like a little kid, and she ended up getting preyed on by a slimy salesperson along with half the boys in her school. So remember kids, don't be in such a rush to be mature, because every girl grows up wanting bras and tampons until they actually need them. If your mom tries to give you life advice, don't imply that she's flatter than day-old Coke. Don't be embarrassed if you're less developed than your friends. But if you are self-conscious, don't spend your life savings on battery-powered blow-up boobs. If a boy says he likes you, make sure he actually knows your name before you let him get to second base. But if he tries tries to fill you up without your consent, don't hesitate to rip his balls off. Whenever you go to a party, always have a solid exit strategy. That way you can avoid making a boob of yourself. And if you find yourself stuck in an awkward situation, think twice before asking your stepbrother to get you unstuck. Luckily, I doubt anyone will have to worry about their boobs exploding in real life, because at the end of the day, it's just a cartoon. Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission a review from my channel. You can also become a channel member to get early access to all my... Do you remember when Caillou ruined the 4th of July? Caillou and his family head to the lake to celebrate the 4th of July, and Caillou is shocked to see kids his own age who don't have the hairline of Danny DeVito. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's who they got to voice Caillou.
Who are all these people, Mommy?
Sounds like a certain preschooler needs to lay off the vape pens. Caillou and Rosie head to the water to play. And this is as close as we'll ever get to seeing Caillou sleep with the fishes. Caillou wants to get his face painted, so the artist tells him to sit still.
Hey, that tickles!
What part of sit still don't you understand, you little twerp? The artist paints his face to look like his teddy. Caillou then immediately gets canceled on Twitter for wearing brown bear face. But never mind that. Caillou wants a hot dog.
4 hot dogs, please.
Why do only the ugliest cartoons draw the correct number of fingers? Caillou's dad asks him to help with the condiments. Oh, no. Look, I know I've been overly critical of Caillou in the past, but I am not kidding when I say this is the most heinous thing this feral 4-year-old has ever done. I don't care how many times you pinch your baby sister. Anyone who puts ketchup on a hot dog deserves to be shoved headfirst into the sausage grinder. Caillou is so dense he doesn't even know how to open the bottle. He ends up spraying ketchup all over his dad's favorite sweater. Damn it, Caillou, that was his only outfit for the entire show. It's almost time for the fireworks, and Caillou is so excited his face goes full Gambino. The fireworks begin, and Caillou starts to wonder why they're celebrating the 4th of July when his family lives in Canada. Regardless, he says he's had the best day ever, even though it was actually a total shit show. Don't believe me? Let's review. Caillou scared all the kids at the lake with his creepy-ass voice, and then nearly got canceled after getting his face painted. He then committed the worst atrocity imaginable by putting ketchup on hot dogs, and then proceeded to ruin his dad's sweater. And all of this could have been avoided if Caillou or his family remembered they live in a country that doesn't even celebrate the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day, and F you, Caillou. Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission a review from my channel. You can also become a channel member to get early access to all my uncensored videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicManMatt25 for even more FU content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Do you remember when DW made friends with a poser and then turned into an even bigger poser?
That's so fierce!
How do you do, fellow kids?
This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 10,000 likes. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicManMatt25 for even more FU content. The kids are heading to a puppet show, but it looks like DW's the one with the stick up her ass. Turns out they're not going to a puppet. DW's the one with the stick up her ass. DW's the one with the stick up her ass. Turns out they're not going to a puppet show, but rather a class on making puppets. DW's the one with the stick up her ass. Turns out they're not going to a puppet show, but rather a class on making puppets.
I don't know how to make a puppet.
That's why you're taking the class, dumbass. They get to the community center, where they find the weird Barbie has escaped into the real world. Turns out this is Hannah, an 8th grader and self-proclaimed puppet master, who looks like Tinkerbell got trapped in a Hot Topic. Not sure why she's taking a class with a bunch of preschoolers, though. I mean, it's not like she's teaching the class, right? Right?
So you're in good hands.
Oh my god.
She's the teacher?
You know what? I'm with DW on this one. Who in their right mind would leave a 13-year-old in charge of a bunch of 4-year-olds? Also, if it's a class about making puppets, wouldn't it make more sense for Mr. Radburn to be teaching it? But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Who knows? She might be good at connecting with kids.
Wrap the paper, I'll save you for later.
Congratulations, Hannah. You've ruined music for children. DW is the only one concerned that the class is being taught by a child, which immediately puts her at the top of Hannah's list. Hannah flat out tells her to shut up, and for once DW doesn't have a snarky retort. I think she's just amazed someone stood up to her for once. On the ride home, DW asks how anyone could possibly be that bossy.
Sit back, I can't see out your window.
Hardy har har. DW starts to change her tune, however, when she finds out Hannah is like a total princess fangirl.
Princess Platoon was fierce.
So fierce, like totally OMG, am I right? She sounds like an AI chatbot trained on 80s ski movies. DW goes from frowny flunky to teacher's pet, especially after Hannah glazes her putrid puppet.
This is my first puppet, too. Yuck.
Okay, now that's something a teenager would actually say. DW tries to wink at her and ends up having a stroke in the middle of class. DW is gushing about her new lady crush when she spots a billboard for Hannah's favorite artist. Okay, now it all makes sense. Hannah's a Swiftie. Later at the supermarket, DW is dropping apples on the floor like a damn fool when she bumps into Hannah and her apathetic friends. Girl, don't put the dirty apples in the shopping bag. Hannah introduces DW as her new best friend, which she'll soon discover is the biggest mistake of her whole life. DW brags that she and Hannah are now best friends, which ends up hurting Bud's feelings. Bud says she can only have one best friend, so DW demotes him to the rank of mid-friend. Mrs. Reed tells her daughter to apologize, but DW claims Bud will get over it.
He lives down the street. We're automatically friends.
DW, I've lived in the same neighborhood for 30 years, and I don't know half of my neighbors' names, much less am I friends with them. DW finds out Katinka Mink is having a concert in town, and runs to the phone to call Hannah. And Hannah's like, how the hell did you get my phone number? DW then decides to copy Hannah's entire personality, which is just a copy of Katinka Mink's stage persona. It's like listening to a cover of a cover band. Oh yeah, Arthur's in this episode. DW finishes her transformation into Billy Eyesore. Hey Mrs. Reed, you sure you want to let your daughter out of the house dressed like that? You maybe want to intervene here? DW is so obsessed that she even starts to sound like Hannah.
Can we bounce over for some ice creamage?
DW strolls into class looking like a wad of gum someone pulled out of their hair. She tells Hannah she can't wait to go to the concert together, and Hannah's like, fat chance. Hannah explains she's going to the show with her best friend, but DW thought she was her best friend. To Hannah's credit, she at least tries to let DW down easy. She tells her that they can still be friends in class, but there's no reasoning with a girl who once tried to burn her brother's school to the ground. DW goes crying to Bud, who apparently found a new best friend who doesn't treat him like garbage. Good for you, Bud. It's time for the kids to present their puppets, so DW uses her time to tell Hannah to go f*** herself. But why just say it when she can sing it?
You're home, alright.
Now let me just say, I'm not here to rag on the voice actor's singing ability. He actually does a pretty good job with what he's given. No, what irks me is that the episode acts like this is DW's empowering moment, when in reality, the song completely contradicts the point DW says she's making. She tries to prove how polite and mature she is by calling out her teacher in the most rude and immature way possible. I mean, 90% of the lyrics are, I'm right, you're wrong. That's not an empowering motto. That's Danny DeVito's catchphrase in Matilda. Hannah ends up apologizing to DW, even though she did absolutely nothing wrong. Hannah gives DW her old Princess Platoon gear, which she'll probably play with twice and then get sick of. DW decides it's better to have friends her own age, and worms her way back into Bud's inner circle, cause I guess he's addicted to toxic friendships. So yeah, I can see why you all were asking me to cover this episode. DW spends the entire runtime sucking up to a girl she barely knows and imitating a pop star she doesn't even like. And on that note, Hannah might be the worst one-off character Arthur's ever had. She feels less like a real person and more like an amalgamation of what adults think teens dress and act like. I mean seriously, when's the last time you heard someone say fierce? She doesn't actually do anything wrong in the episode. She's just so bland that I don't see why DW latched onto her in the first place. And what's worse is the show already did this story a million times better in the season 5 episode Muffy Gets Mature, where Muffy tries sucking up to Francine's older sister and ends up making a complete fool of herself. Muffy is obsessed with Mature Miss Magazine, a preteen tabloid for 6-year-olds who want to pretend they're 16. She says Francine is way too childish, almost like she is a child. Muffy claims she's too sophisticated for someone who likes PB&Js and PJs. Francine breaks up with her best friend for the umpteenth time and tells her to get the f*** out of her house, cause that worked so well the first time. Muffy says she'll find a new best friend who appreciates her maturity, even though we all know Muffy has the maturity of spoiled milk. Muffy is so desperate for older friends that she latches onto the first teenage girl she sees, which just so happens to be Francine's older sister. Catherine has no interest in being besties with the pipsqueak Princess of Privilege, until Muffy offers her a limo ride and a shopping spree. This feels like a reverse DiCaprio. Catherine needs an outfit for a party, and Muffy insists she go vintage.
Trust me, it's still out. It's in.
Who are you, Esme Squalor? She then insists on taking Catherine out for lunch and pedicures. Girl, don't put your socks on over the... never mind. Muffy is having the time of her life, until she gets caught by Francine. Oh yeah, Arthur's in this episode. So this is where things go full telenovela. Francine is rightfully pissed that her ex-bestie is seeing her sister behind her back. She tells Muffy that Catherine is just using her, and the second she gets bored with her, she'll ditch her for Binky's evil twin brother. Muffy continues to leech off Catherine as she practically proposes to her on the spot. Catherine sees right through Muffy's honey trap and tells tells her she can't come to her party. She does, however, begrudgingly agree to let Muffy drive her there in her limo. I don't see how that could be a bad idea. They get to the party, and Muffy tries to worm her way into Catherine's circle of friends. She brags how she gets all her fashion tips from mature Miss.
I have my very own prescription to their magazine.
I'm pretty sure you mean subscription, Muffy, unless your magazine comes with an injection of O-Zip-It. Catherine's friends insist on inviting Muffy to the party, and the prissy poser quickly finds she's way out of her depth. Muffy wants to jam to the music, but Catherine says teens don't dance, because it's the year 2000 and TikTok won't be a thing for nearly 20 years. The only thing the girls want to talk about is kissing boys, which Muffy thinks is totally icky. Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Muffy doesn't understand why Catherine's friends keep laughing at her. I mean, it's not like teenage girls would ever invite someone to hang out just to make fun of them. Muffy realizes she's the Arthur of Catherine's friend group. The girls tell her that real teens aren't as vapid as the ones in her magazine, and then head to the kitchen for almond vanilla decaf lattes. Basic. Muffy is on the verge of tears, as she's not used to being on the receiving end of verbal humiliation. Catherine tells her she'd be better off making friends her own age, except everyone Muffy's age thinks she sucks too. Muffy decides to go back to her tried and true frenemy, but it looks like Francine is sick of her half-assed apologies. Muffy refuses to take no for an answer. She follows Francine home and refuses to leave until she accepts her apology. Muffy admits she wasn't cool enough to hang with Catherine's friends and begs Francine to take her back. Looks like Francine is also addicted to toxic friendships as she welcomes Muffy back with open arms. Here we go again. So you see how this episode is way better than DW's new best friend? Yeah, Muffy is still in insufferable pain, but at least it makes sense why she would try to suck up to older kids. Since her first appearance, Muffy has always acted like she's too good for her friends, so it's nice to see her get a reality check. In contrast, it feels super out of character for DW to change everything about herself to impress a girl she barely knows. Not only that, but she ended up making a fool of herself in front of her real friends. Don't believe me? Let's review. DW latched onto an older girl she just met because she gave her a compliment. She then formed a parasocial relationship with her and convinced herself they were best friends. She completely abandoned her real friends and changed her entire personality on a whim. And when she found out Hannah wasn't actually her friend, she sang a whole song telling her to eat So, F you Muffy for ditching your best friend to hang out with her sister and then crawling back to her after you got taken down a peg. And of course, for being the biggest poser in Elwood City, F you DW. Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission a review from my channel. You can also become a channel member to get early access to all my uncensored videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicManMatt25 for even more FU content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
And I say, hey, what a wonderful night again.
Cartoon Network absolutely... Do you remember when Cartoon Network absolutely screwed over this Make-A-Wish kid? In 2014, a young teenager was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder called Barrett syndrome and needed a kidney transplant to save his life. The young man, William Walter Thompson, said his greatest wish was to become a voice actor, so the Make-A-Wish Foundation stepped in to make his wish come true. Make-A-Wish flew Thompson and his mom out to California, where he got to meet the cast and crew of Teen Titans Go. Not only that, but Thompson was invited to voice a character based on himself, who the Titans lovingly referred to as Wally T.
Wally T!
It seemed like Thompson's dreams were coming true, as he was told he'd be starring in his own episode of Teen Titans Go. Now, you might assume the episode would be about him winning a contest to be a member of the Teen Titans for a day. I mean, that would make sense considering Thompson was a massive Teen Titans fan. Instead, what we got was 11 minutes of the toddler Titans using Thompson as a non-verbal prop to stroke their own ego and tell off their haters, with the end message being that real fans will stand by their fandom regardless of the drastic drop in quality. The episode is full of not-so-subtle middle fingers to the show's critics, as well as several uncomfortable moments of a grown woman pretending to be a teen hitting on a child.
He's all mad.
Gross. This is gross. But that's not even the worst part. When the episode finally aired in 2016, Thompson only had one line. Or did he?
Now take this power and finish the fight!
Yeah, viewers were quick to point out that Wally T sounds suspiciously identical to Tara Strong. Supposedly, Cartoon Network decided to redub Thompson's part at the last minute, and the reason behind this decision is absolutely infuriating. Allegedly, the network initially refused to air the episode because Thompson was not a union voice actor. This meant that Teen Titans Go team had two options: either scrap the episode entirely, or have the cast redub Thompson's one and only line. Guess which they picked. Not only is this incredibly disrespectful to Thompson, but it also creates these weird moments where Tara Strong inadvertently flirts with herself.
'Cause I love you guys, especially you, Raven.
Gross. Still very gross. Now, it's possible that Thompson and his family were told about this redub ahead of time, but local news articles at the time give the impression that Thompson fully expected his voice to be on the show. After all, the whole point of making the episode was to fulfill Thompson's dream of being a voice actor, but the higher-ups at Cartoon Network didn't see it that way. To them, this episode was their way of using a sick kid as a publicity stunt, as well as a human shield against the valid criticisms leveled against this mediocre cartoon. Thompson just wanted to be an actor and ended up getting used by a soulless corporation. So I guess he really did get the full Hollywood treatment. Now, the silver lining to all of this is that Thompson did end up getting the kidney transplant he needed after his mom heroically stepped up to donate one of hers. And at the end of the day, Thompson did get to hang out with the original Teen Titans, who by all accounts were extremely cordial. I'm curious if the original episode is out there somewhere with Thompson's part still intact. As a voice actor myself, I understand how important it is for actors to get credit for the work they do. Cartoon Network created the best show of all time and then wiped it off the face of the earth. This was one of the most watched cartoons of the past decade, and now it doesn't even exist anymore. So how did this happen? On November 2nd, 2016, Cartoon Network's YouTube channel uploaded the pilot episode for Infinity Train. Created by Owen Dennis, the story follows a girl trapped on the titular train, where each train car contains its own mystical dimension. Infinity Train quickly became the most viewed pilot in the history of Cartoon Network, garnering millions of views and millions of fans demanding it be turned into a full series. But despite the pilot's instant popularity, Cartoon Network dragged their feet on giving Infinity Train the green light. They eventually agreed to air the pilot on Cartoon Network in February of 2017 to test the show's viability. But this may have secretly been an attempt to sabotage the show, as the time slot they were given was 6 a.m. Nevertheless, fans rallied behind the show as over 700,000 people tuned in to watch the 6 a.m. broadcast. This finally convinced the network to give Infinity Train a full series order. Starting in August of 2019, the first 2 seasons aired on Cartoon Network, before the show was moved to HBO Max. The series was praised for its incredible writing and animation, as well as its darker tone that gave the show a unique edge. And it wasn't just a hit with kids. In 2020, Infinity Train was HBO Max's 4th most watched original series. Owen Dennis had originally planned to make 8 seasons of Infinity Train. I wonder how he landed on that number. Unfortunately, the series was canceled after the release of its 4th and final season. Now, you would think that getting canceled is the worst thing that could happen to a show, but in the age of streaming and tax write-offs, things can always get worse. In August of 2022, HBO Max announced that they were purging over 36 original series from their streaming site, and Infinity Train was on the chopping block. Not only was the show removed from HBO Max, but Cartoon Network scrubbed any mention of it from their YouTube channel, including the original pilot. Fans were rightfully outraged, as they had been rallying behind the show for years, and now it's nearly impossible to watch. Only the first 2 seasons were released on DVD. You can't even buy the full digital series on Amazon, and for some inexplicable reason, YouTube has the last 2 seasons rated TVMA. Even the show's creator said the only way to watch Infinity Train now is by illegally pirating it. Now, Owen Dennis is still hopeful he'll eventually get to finish out the series. But now with the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger, it's looking like a revival is less and less likely. But it's not impossible. Fans have continued to show their support for Infinity Train, demanding HBO Max return it to streaming and allow Dennis to finish it as he intended. And it's important we make our voices heard so crap like this doesn't keep happening. Disney canceled their best cartoon for the dumbest reason, so the creator made their next show purely out of spite. The Owl House premiered on Disney Channel in January of 2020. The series follows a spirited outcast named Luz, who discovers a portal to a magical dimension full of witches, demons, and heated rivalries. The Owl House was praised by audiences, particularly the queer community. Luz's evolving romance with her former rival Amity was singled out as one of the highlights of the show. This was a rare example of Disney championing a queer relationship in one of their mainstream properties. But don't start thanking them just yet. When the show was renewed for a 3rd season, the episode count was much smaller than fans were expecting. Instead of the usual 20 or even 10 episode order, the Owl House was only given 3 episodes for its entire 3rd season. Fans took this as a sign that the show had preemptively been canceled. Even the characters in the show called out Disney for screwing them over.
Hey, wouldn't you rather have a beach day?
Maybe if we had time for 20 more adventures, but we don't.
Not only did they refuse to give them a 4th season, but Disney leaked the penultimate episode by uploading it to iTunes before it was set to air, which Terrace rightfully called them out on. So why was this show canceled in the first place? Was the Owl House too gay for Disney? Actually, no. The real reason they canceled it is even dumber. In a Reddit AMA, Terrace revealed how execs didn't think her show fit the Disney brand. Supposedly, one exec hated the show's serialized format, cause there's never
never been a popular cartoon with an ongoing story before, but what they really hated was who was watching the show. No, not the gays, a group even more terrifying. Millennials. Disney Channel and Disney XD primarily cater to kids younger than 14, but a sizable chunk of the Owl House's fan base are adults. And even though Disney is happy to take their money, the company apparently doesn't want their brand associated with the show's most vocal fans. But like, where's the logic in that? Could you imagine if Hasbro canceled Friendship is Magic because of their adult fan base? Even Disney eventually admitted that canceling the show was a bad idea. Oops. After the Owl House ended, Dana Terrace took her talents to Glitch Productions. Glitch is an Australian animation studio that specializes in indie cartoon series, such as Murder Drones and The Amazing Digital Circus. Glitch gave Terrace the green light for the pilot of her new series, The Knights of Guinevere, which takes place in a dystopian theme park that's a not-so-subtle dig at the happiest place on Earth. Clearly, Terrace was still carrying some resentments. In September of 2025, Glitch uploaded the full pilot to YouTube, where it became an overnight sensation. The pilot was praised for its stellar animation and dark themes, and within 5 months, Knights of Guinevere was greenlit for a full series. So I guess Dana Terrace got the last laugh in the end. Disney may have made the worst autism special I have ever seen. Within the past decade, more cartoons and kid shows have made the push to include autistic characters in their lineup, and while many of these efforts have been a great success, others have ultimately backfired. Such was the case for this unfortunate Disney cartoon. On April 2nd of 2020, Nancy's New Friend aired on Disney Junior, where the titular Nancy makes a new friend named Sean who, you guessed it, has autism. Showrunner Matt Haberman actually stated that Sean was the first Disney character on the autism spectrum. Really? The first? Now, Nancy is explicitly told that Sean is autistic, but through a rather forced misunderstanding, she believes that Sean is artistic. Yeah, within the first 20 seconds, the episode gives away its one and only joke for the remaining 11 minutes. When Nancy meets Sean for the first time, she tries to impress him with a bunch of fancy schmancy mumbo-jumbo, only to find he's more interested in trains and peanut butter sandwiches. After their first encounter, Nancy is once again reminded that Sean is autistic. And at this point, it is abundantly clear that Nancy has no idea what autism is, and it doesn't really seem like she cares to learn what it is either. Because when she's told that Sean is sensitive, she assumes this is another figure of speech.
Sensitive? That's fancy for wanting things to be done a certain way.
I feel like even the 3-year-olds watching this right now are face-palming. Now, instead of taking 2 minutes to actually learn about Sean's sensitivities, Nancy decides to throw him a surprise party. Because if there's one thing autistic people love, it's something they didn't plan for. Sean gets to the party and is immediately hit with a barrage of loud music, bright colors, and ear-bleeding train whistles. Yeah, Nancy is apparently hell-bent on triggering every one of his sensory issues at the same time. Nancy is so in her own head that she doesn't even realize Sean is upset until he has a full-on anxiety attack and runs off screaming. And even after this, Nancy still doesn't understand what she did wrong. It isn't until Sean's autism is explained to her a third time that she actually apologizes. Now, I understand that when meeting someone with autism for the first time, a kid might accidentally trigger one of their sensory issues. But Nancy was repeatedly told about Sean's ASD and still gave him an anxiety attack because she was too conceited to pay attention to what was being told to her. This was one of only 2 episodes where Sean actually makes an appearance, and it stinks that he spends the majority of his debut dealing with this bratty little poser. I feel bad because this episode had the potential to be a great lesson about how to befriend people on the spectrum, and I know Fancy Nancy's heart was in the right place. Disney is 0 for 2 when it comes to autism specials. After talking about Fancy Nancy's awful autism episode, a lot of you told me there was another Disney show with an even worse autism-themed episode. Girl Meets World was Disney Channel's spin-off to the 90s sitcom Boy Meets World. The season 2 episode Girl Meets Farkle deals with one of the main characters finding out they may be autistic, and the end result is really bad. In the episode, Farkle gets invited to attend an elite private school after an IQ test proves he's a genius. Farkle throws a party to celebrate his new status as a genius, where he tricks Maya and Riley into being his child brides. Dude was only 15 and he had Sabrina Carpenter locked down. However, the school decides to run more specialized tests on Farkle as they suspect he may have autism, or as the episode specifies, Asperger's syndrome. When Farkle tells his friends, you would think he just told them he has brain cancer. They start panic Googling the symptoms of autism, and even Farkle is worried he'll never understand the concept of love. Yeah, this is where the episode starts to fall apart. First off, the school wouldn't be testing him for Asperger's syndrome.
Asperger's used to be the diagnosis experts use for low support needs autism, with symptoms such as repetitive behaviors and difficulty with communication and social interactions. However, the symptoms of Asperger's were often indistinguishable from ASD, so when the DSM-5 was published in 2013, the term was officially retired. And this episode was made in 2015, a full 2 years later, so there is no excuse for them to be using this outdated terminology. And secondly, even if Farkle was diagnosed with autism, why are they acting like it's a death sentence? Finding out you have autism later in life doesn't fundamentally change who you are. Farkle would be the same braggy know-it-all he was before he took the IQ test. If anything, getting an official diagnosis would be good for him because it would help him understand how his brain works and give him empathy for other people on the spectrum. Speaking of which, in the midst of Farkle's autism scare, he starts to form a romantic connection with his academic rival Smackle. What is with the names in this show? Smackle gets a crush on Farkle after she finds out he may have Asperger's. Weird, but okay. Over time, Farkle and his friends start to suspect that Smackle may be autistic. In fact, they are so confident they're right because they spent one whole day reading about autism, which obviously means they're experts now. Now, Smackle does end up revealing she was diagnosed with Asperger's when she was 5, but that still doesn't give Farkle and his friends the right to assume she has ASD just because they did the bare minimum research. In the end, it turns out that Farkle doesn't have autism, but that doesn't stop him from getting up in front of the class to lecture everyone about a neurological disorder he didn't even know about up until a week ago. You all weren't lying when you said this episode was just as bad as Nancy's new friend. Surely there has to be at least one Disney property with good autism representation. Disney finally made a good autism cartoon. After slogging through Nancy's new friend and Girl Meets Farkle, it is a relief to finally find a Disney property with good autism representation. In January of 2020, Loop was released on Disney Plus as part of Pixar's Spark Short series. Written and directed by Erica Milsom, the story follows Renee, a high-support needs autistic teenager spending her summer at camp. When another kid, Marcus, shows up late, the camp counselor pairs him with Renee to go canoeing. Wait, why would he let them go on the water by themselves? Not only is it irresponsible for him to leave Renee alone with a kid who clearly doesn't know anything about high-support needs autism, but this also puts Renee in a situation that she was not prepared for. Marcus is clearly not happy about the situation. He's not a jerk about it, he just doesn't know how to communicate with someone who's nonverbal. At first, Marcus just wants to show off his paddling skills, but Renee has something else in mind. She uses the Patrick Stewart emoji to get him to row to shore, and I really like that she's the one who figures out how to communicate with him. At first, Marcus thinks she needs to use the bathroom, but really Renee just wants to touch the reeds. Gradually, Marcus starts to see things from Renee's perspective. He even takes her to a tunnel so she can amplify her favorite ringtone. However, the sound quickly becomes overwhelming for Renee. She crashes the canoe and then crashes out underneath it. Now, Marcus is woefully unprepared to handle Renee's meltdown as the two are stranded on the shoreline, which probably wouldn't have happened if there had been an adult in the boat with them. This camp is just a lawsuit waiting to happen. Now, Marcus probably could have signaled to the other canoers that they need help, but nevertheless, he stays by Renee's side until she's calm enough to come out from under the canoe. And despite their tumultuous journey, the two solidify their friendship and row back to camp. Not only is Loop beautifully animated, but Renee is the best depiction of a high support needs autistic character I've ever seen. Negligent camp counselor notwithstanding, I would argue this is one of Pixar's best shorts in recent years. Disney actually partnered with the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network to ensure that Renee's depiction was as authentic as possible. Madison Bandy, the actor who voices Renee, is a nonverbal autistic herself. The crew even went out of their way to record Bandy's audio in her own home just so she would feel more comfortable. And their efforts did not go to waste. In less than 8 minutes, Milsom and her team succeeded where Disney had failed for nearly a century. And the best part is you can watch the entire short for free right now on YouTube. Just to be clear, this isn't sponsored. It's just a really good short. So let me know what you all thought of Loop. Is Disney finally on the right track? Pixar made another amazing short about autism, and this one might be even better than Loop. Released back in November of 2019, Flow was the 4th animated special in Pixar's Spark Short series. Created by Bobby Rubio, the story centers around a father whose son, Alex, can float. The father goes to great lengths to hide his son floating for fear of being mocked or ridiculed. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious, floating is a metaphor for autism. But whereas Loop was is shown through the perspective of someone who has autism, Float shows what it's like to be the parent of someone who has ASD. Rubio based the story off his own experiences with his son who has autism. After his son was first diagnosed, Rubio admitted he didn't know how to handle it, so his wife encouraged him to come up with a story about a dad with a kid who people see as different. He even voices the father in the short. When the father first discovers Alex can float, he isn't scared or angry, he's genuinely amazed. It's only when he starts to worry about how other people will judge him that he starts to mask his son's differences. But instead of telling the neighbors to mind their own damn business, the father shuts himself and his son off from the rest of the world. As years go by, the dad is terrified of taking Alex out in public, and whenever he does, he keeps him weighed down with a backpack full of rocks. And if you were ever a kid whose parents made you mask your ASD, you can feel the discomfort oozing off Alex. And as if on cue, Alex breaks out of his restraints and goes floating around the park. His dad chases him down while garnering confused looks from kids and judgmental stares from other parents. Things reach a boiling point when the dad has to drag Alex kicking and screaming out of the park. And this is where we get the only spoken line in the whole short.
Why can't you just be normal?
Where have I heard that line before?
Why can't you just be normal?
This absolutely crushes Alex as he stops floating altogether. Yeah, this is a very cruel thing to say to a child, but I'm pretty sure every parent has had this thought at one point in time. I guarantee every parent wishes raising their kids was easier, and especially when you have a child with a disability, the job can feel overwhelming at times. We can see the dad immediately regrets yelling at his son and takes him to the swing set to cheer him up. When Alex starts floating this time, the dad openly cheers him on and encourages him to be himself. He stops caring about what other people think about him and his son, because the only thing that matters is that they love each other. Bobby Rubio and his team knocked it out of the park with this one. The story has definitely resonated with a lot of parents in the ASD community, because ultimately, you can't control what other people think about you or your kids, but you can choose to embrace your child's differences and love them for who they are. This might be the most controversial cartoon of all time. Arthur is the longest-running animated series in the history of PBS Kids, but one episode nearly got pulled after several conservative-leaning outlets refused to air it. Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone was the first episode of Arthur's 22nd season, where Arthur and his friends learn that their third-grade teacher is getting married. At first, they think he's getting married to a bossy woman voiced by Glee superstar Jane Lynch, and try to split them up, only to learn he's actually getting married to a man named Patrick. When the episode debuted on May 13th of 2019, certain viewers were absolutely appalled, and I can understand why. The Flash animation looks absolutely atrocious. Sadly, it isn't surprising that conservative outlets were less than pleased to see two men get married on a kids show. The Christian fundamentalist group Moms for Liberty started a petition that allegedly garnered over 13,000 signatures to have the episode pulled for what they claimed was morally inappropriate behavior. Rats and aardvarks living together, mass hysteria. Likewise, former Trump advisor Sebastian Gorka got it in his head that PBS was putting chemicals in the water, turning the frickin' rats gay. TV affiliates in Alabama and Arkansas refused to air the episode altogether. The programming director for the Alabama network, Mike McKenzie, gave the half-baked excuse that kids younger than the show's demo might watch the episode without their parents present. So what, you're worried a 3-year-old will see two grown men link arms? Mike McKenzie puts the BS in PBS. He instead aired a rerun of a less controversial episode of Arthur featuring Lance Armstrong. That last part was a joke, but it's bonkers how that's a real episode. Thankfully, not everyone in Alabama shared McKenzie's views. Locals were so outraged that the First United Methodist Church in Birmingham hosted a protest screening of the episode that attracted over 100 attendees. And what truly dumbfounds me is that if these gay haters had taken 11 minutes to actually watch the episode, they would have realized there's barely any gay to hate. Mr. Ratburn and his husband are only on screen together for 15 seconds. 10 of those seconds are them walking down the aisle, and the other 5 are them dancing at the reception like a couple of goofy goobers. And that's it. There's no kissing, there's no hugging, we don't even see them talk to each other. For a point of comparison, the Steven Universe episode Reunited features a wedding scene between two female-identifying characters, complete with an on-screen kiss. And that episode aired nearly a full year before Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone. Now, don't get me wrong, the fact that Arthur committed to showing a gay wedding on-screen was a huge step for the show and the network. But the execution is just so mediocre that it comes off as performative. We spend more time watching the kids try to sabotage the wedding rather than the wedding itself. Mr. Ratburn is one of the most memorable characters on Arthur, yet we know virtually nothing about his husband, other than he weirdly looks a lot like Arthur's dad. This might be the best autism cartoon ever made, but hardly anyone knows about it. Pablo is a live-action animated series about an autistic boy named Pablo and his imaginary friends. In each episode, Pablo's animal friends help him work through a problem he's facing in real life, like losing his favorite book or having different foods touch. I'm a grown man and I still struggle with that last one. This show feels like a modern-day Winnie the Pooh, as each of Pablo's imaginary friends represent a different aspect of his personality, like a giraffe who loves info-dumping, a mouse who hates loud noises, and a llama with echolalia. The show has been praised by the autistic community, which makes sense considering that most of the writers and actors for Pablo are also autistic. The series is definitely aimed at younger kids, but it never talks down to its audience. The writers understand how kids use their imagination to work through their emotional issues. Even if you aren't like Pablo, you can still empathize with the struggles he goes through and the ways he goes about adapting to the challenges around him. But you might be thinking, if this show is so great, why have I never seen it before? Well, if you live in the US, there's a good chance you've never even heard of this show. Pablo originally aired on CBeebies in the UK, and while the show did air in other countries, it never got a proper release in the States. But that did make me wonder how people in the UK feel about this show. Snipe Snap, what did you think of Pablo?
Pablo is certainly massive for autistic kids in the UK. For a lot of families, it was the first time their child saw someone like them on screen. And the fact that every voice actor was autistic gave it an authenticity that parents properly trusted. And Pablo wasn't a one-off. It kicked down the bloody door. A Kind of Spark came out on CBBC in 2023, based on an autistic author's novel about an autistic girl campaigning to get her town to acknowledge women killed in the Scottish witch trials, performed, of course, by an autistic actress. Ready, Eddie, Go on Sky Kids is doing similar things for preschoolers. The UK has been building this pipeline for years. Now, America's got Carl the Collector on PBS Kids, which is brilliant. But honestly, Pablo could be next in line for a US version. You could reshoot the live-action segments with American actors, re-record the voices with American autistic voice actors, and keep all the animation, exactly as they did with Thomas the Tank Engine. I think American families would love it.
I completely agree. I'm surprised no American network has jumped at the chance yet. This show would be right at home on PBS Kids or Disney Junior, or even Nick Jr. for that matter. Luckily, several episodes are available for free on YouTube, which you can watch right now. And while there's no current plan for an American revival, the BBC has confirmed that a spin-off series, Pablo Next Level, is coming out later this year. I think it's great that autistic creators are getting the opportunity to share their stories on screen in a way that can resonate with a whole new generation of kids. Is April the month of autism awareness or autism acceptance? That's the question I've been trying to get to the bottom of. As someone who makes videos about autistic cartoon characters, I understand how important the month of April is to characters like Max, Julia, and Carl the Collector. If you didn't already know, April was first designated Autism Awareness Month in 1970 by the National Autism Society, in an effort to bring nationwide attention to ASD. Before the 1970s, children with autism were often misdiagnosed with childhood schizophrenia and childhood psychosis. And over the past half-century, there have been tremendous strides within the autism community. But there's been some debate within the past 2 decades over whether autism awareness is an outdated term. In 2011, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network started pushing for the month to be rebranded as Autism Acceptance Month. As stated on their own website, Autism Acceptance Month was created by and for the autistic community to change the conversation around autism, shifting it away from stigmatizing autism awareness language that presents autism as a threat to be countered with vigilance. Autism acceptance emphasizes that autistic people belong. Now, just to be clear, I myself am not someone who has ever been diagnosed with autism. I am just a grown man who loves cartoons. So I wanted to make sure I was using the correct terminology for the month. I asked my autistic viewers which term they prefer, and it was surprisingly difficult to get a straightforward answer. But after weeding out all the trolls who were just looking for an excuse to drop slurs, the general consensus I got is that both terms are generally fine, with everyone having their own individual preference. My friend who's a PhD candidate and publishes on neurodivergency says she prefers Autism Acceptance Month, while my friend who works at Autism Digest ultimately errs on the side of Autism Awareness Month. At this point, I wasn't really sure which term I liked better because I can see the pros and cons to both. It is important to bring awareness to autism to prevent it from being further stigmatized. But as ASAN points out, just because you're aware of autism, that doesn't mean you're necessarily accepting
accepting of it. After all, acceptance is action. It demands more than just the bare minimum to ensure autistic individuals aren't perpetually excluded from society at large. But here's where I might have a controversial take. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I don't really like either term. Like, I agree autism acceptance is the more proactive term, but shouldn't we be accepting of autism year-round? And I understand why ASAN pushed so hard for this change at the time. But if I can throw in my own 2 cents, I feel like autism advocacy or autism appreciation are terms that better encapsulate what this month is really about. April isn't just about bringing attention to autism as a medical term. It's about celebrating the accomplishments of people within the autistic community and showing how having a disorder does not make you a disease that needs to be cured. Just to be clear, I am not telling these organizations how to do their jobs.
What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5. What galaxy are we in right now? Samsung Galaxy S5.
The work they do is absolutely incredible, and it's amazing to see how the autistic community has thrived within the past 50 years. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you call this month, as long as the message stays the same.
Does PBS endorse Autism Speaks?
Okay, that's a pretty loaded question. To get to the bottom of this, we need to explore Sesame Street's history with autism, specifically the creation of Julia. Now, Julia is a relatively new addition to the Sesame Street crew. Julia made her Sesame Street debut in 2017 on April 2nd to coincide with World Autism Day. She was created in partnership with the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and was credited as the first autistic Muppet. Really? The first? Julia was created by Muppeteer Stacey Gordon, who based the character off her own son who was diagnosed with autism. Before joining the cast of Sesame Street, Gordon previously worked as a therapist for children with autism, so it's no surprise that Julia is such a well-rounded, fleshed-out character who feels like a real kid rather than just a talking point. However, things took an unexpected turn in 2019 when Julia appeared in a PSA for autism screenings. The PSA was made in partnership with Autism Speaks. Yes, that Autism Speaks. If you weren't already aware, Autism Speaks is a controversial organization that has been largely disavowed by the autistic community for a litany of reasons. Namely, their view that autism is a thing that needs to be cured rather than accepted. The PSA Julia appears in ends with the phrase, "Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference," which is such a backhanded insult when you actually think about it. Like, yes, it is important to screen children for autism at an early age so they can get the support they need, but the tone of the video comes off as parents should identify the problem now so they can get it fixed. Because that's ultimately what Autism Speaks thinks ASD is, a problem that needs to be fixed. ASAN saw this PSA as such an egregious betrayal that they permanently cut ties with Sesame Street, and honestly, I don't blame them. I mean, they worked so hard to make autism accessible and socially acceptable to millions of kids and families, which is why it's so baffling that PBS chose to partner with an organization that represents the exact opposite of what they were trying to accomplish. Seriously, PBS, what were you thinking? Could you not do 10 seconds of research to figure out this collaboration might have been a bad idea? This isn't like if the CEO of Coca-Cola started drinking Pepsi. This would be like if she was photographed with hunters poaching polar bears. In the 7 years since this controversy, Julia has continued to appear on Sesame Street and is still viewed as a positive role model for kids on the spectrum. She's been the face of Sesame Street's push for autism advocacy, with several websites dedicated to ASD awareness and support. Did this horror movie rip off The Fairly Odd Parents? Obsession is one of the biggest movies in theaters right now, about a hapless loser who magically wishes for his crush to fall in love with him. What could possibly go wrong? The film has been a critical and box office success, making over 100 times its budget, and Indy Neveretti being praised for her darkly twisted performance. But some people have accused writer-director Curry Barker of stealing the plot from an episode of The Fairly Odd Parents. In the episode Just the Two of Us, Timmy wishes for he and his crush Trixie Tang to be the only two people in the universe. At first, Timmy thinks he's in paradise, but quickly discovers the girl of his dreams can be a real nightmare. Trixie demands Timmy tell her she's pretty day and night, and gets upset when he leaves her side for 2 minutes to use the bathroom. And while Trixie never makes him eat a dead cat, Timmy is so desperate to get away from her that he tries to gnaw off his own arm. And when he does finally break up with her, she tries to blow him up and saw him in half. Luckily, Timmy reverses the wish at the last second and everything returns to normal. So did Obsession actually copy this episode? I mean, aside from the whole wish aspect and the crazy stalker girlfriend, definitely not. The cautionary tale of someone wishing for love only to immediately regret it is a common media trope, especially in horror anthologies, such as The Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, and R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour. There was even an episode of Kim Possible where Raven Simone's character got turned into a 12-year-old's love slave. In the season 4 episode The Cupid Effect, preteen tech whiz Wade creates a Cupid ray, which he uses to make Kim's friend Monique fall in love with him. So this is gross for a whole host of reasons. For one thing, Wade is a full 5 years younger than Monique. Not to mention imagine that he's fully usurping her autonomy to pursue a stupid crush. And what's worse is there are moments when the tech glitches out and we see the real Monique struggle to take back control of her body, just like in Obsession. In the end, Monique rightfully calls out Wade for taking advantage of her, right before he ditches her to ask out a girl his own age. But in an ironic twist of fate, Wade discovers his new girlfriend also has a Cupid ray, which she uses to force him to love her. Looks like karma came back to bite him in the end. If anything, I feel like this cartoon has more in common with Obsession. But what do you think?
And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Learn to work and play.
You wanted me to talk about? Every comment I got was for characters who Has Carl the Collector secretly been a brat this whole time? Hey everyone, before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a hype since I guess that's still a feature. So I've made a couple videos about Carl the Collector and it's been really refreshing to talk about someone who isn't a total tyrannical toddler. It's nice to have a protagonist in a kid's show who isn't whining their head off or threatening to beat up their siblings every 10 minutes. But even the best characters have their bad days. As many of you in my comments have pointed out, even the mighty Carl is not immune from the occasional temper tantrum. After all, Carl is still a kid, and every kid has at least one massive meltdown, which coincidentally is the name of the episode we'll be talking about today, where Carl flips out on his friends and family when he can't get his grubby little mitts on a banana split. Now, I doubt Carl is as bad as the likes of Daniel, Tiger, DW, or Caillou, but I've made videos about Arthur at his worst moments, so I think it's only fair to do the same for Carl. Let's take a look at what many consider the worst episode of Carl the Collector, to see if this raccoon rascal is a bigger brat than I thought. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 10,000 likes. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicManMatt25 for even more FU content. Carl is excited for the Fuzzy Town Ice Cream Festival. He shows off his favorite new ice cream socks to his mom.
I thought the polka dot socks were your favorite.
I swear, I will never get used to hearing that voice come out of the mouth of a good mom. The ice cream festival isn't until tomorrow, but that doesn't stop Carl from counting down the seconds until he can bury his face in a hot fudge sundae. But the mood starts to sour when Sheldon reminds him how long the lines were for last year's festival. Wait, why does this one woman have human hair? I'm just saying, none of the other animals have human hair. Moving on, at school, Carl gives a research presentation that he apparently assigned himself about the history of ice cream, which is cute until it just turns into another plug for the ice cream festival.
The annual Fuzzy Town Ice Cream Festival starts in one day.
That transition was more clunky than Chris Stuckman plugging gambling apps, which leads me into the sponsor for this video. I'm just f***ing with you. There's no sponsor on this video. Carl continues to spiral out about ice cream swirls, as he spends the entire bus ride home listing all his favorite flavors. And even his friends are starting to get sick of his Bubba Gump routine.
Chocolate, cookie dough, butter pecan,
shrimp soup, shrimp stew, shrimp salad.
We then see Carl at the grocery store with his mom. He claims his ice cream socks helped him run faster in gym class, which we didn't get to see, so I guess we'll just have to take his word for it. Carl then proceeds to pester the store owner about his ice cream obsession. And I mean, maybe give it a rest for right now, Carl. Like, I get that he's excited, but I think we can all agree he's taking it a bit too far. Like, he even says his favorite way to eat bananas is in a banana split, even though the banana is objectively the worst part of a banana split. Carl is so dug in that he pretends to be an ice cream sundae while he's taking a bath. Still less hectic than Caillou's bath time. The next day, Carl still has ice cream on the brain. He's so distracted that he doesn't even notice the other kid standing directly behind him.
Hey, watch where you're going.
You watch it, Carl. You're the one who bumped into him. It looks like Carl is about to snap harder than his pencil. Things only get worse when he's forced to sit through this random EDM concert. You know, the kind that every grade school assembly had. Aw, baby's first acid trip. Things don't get any better that afternoon at the Fuzzy Scouts meeting, where Carl yells at his friends for taking too long to set up a tent.
The ice cream festival starts in less than 3 hours.
Now hold up, let me just ask you one question. Why does this random kid have human hair? Do the animals in this world have fur or hair? Make up your mind. Also, Carl is still being a jerk. Shame on you, Carl. Cranky Carl storms off to collect his thoughts. Oh, cause he's Carl the Collector and he's collecting his... Yes, I'm smart. Carl worries the festival will be even more hectic than last time, but he's already told people he would be there, so now he's socially obligated to show up. Good thing adults never have to deal with that kind of pressure. The resigned raccoon then sums up how I feel after I finish editing a video.
Batteries are running low.
Carl finally reaches his breaking point after he trips over his backpack and ends up eating shit. He tells his mom he's had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. He rants about how school sucked and that the assembly prevented him from returning his library books on time. Even during a meltdown, Carl is perpetually punctual. His mom tells him to take some deep belly breaths, but Carl says, F that.
I don't want to calm down.
So this is the part where Carl's mom gives him a half-assed warning to stop acting out, right? I mean, that's what we've seen DW, Caillou, and Daniel Tiger's moms do before. Actually, no. She recognizes that her son is having an anxiety attack, so Mama Bear gives her cub a big old bear hug. Yes, I know they're raccoons. You know what I meant. Carl is finally able to collect himself. He realizes he's been acting out because he's nervous to go to the festival.
Is it possible to want to go to something and not want to go to something at the same time?
I wouldn't know, Carl. It's not like I get that feeling every time I'm invited to do something that requires me to leave the house. Must be a you problem. So now that Carl knows what his issue is, he has plenty of time to rest and recharge before the festival, right?
Is it okay if I skip the festival this year?
Wait, what? So you're telling me after all that, Carl isn't even going to the ice cream festival? What the hell? Yeah, I get that his well-being is more important than ice cream, but after spending the whole episode building it up, now I want to go to the damn festival. But Carl does get to relax and spend time with his mom, so I guess the night isn't a total bust. Just then, Sheldon stops by to bring Carl some ice cream from the festival, which would be nice if it hadn't melted. That's worse than if he brought him nothing. Carl invites Sheldon inside for banana splits, and the episode ends with a joke that's way too lame even for PBS.
That's very appealing. Get it? Appealing.
That fruit pun wasn't very funny. So yeah, I can see why people who like Carl the Collector don't like this episode. Not only is Carl uncharacteristically rude to all his friends, but all the hardships he suffers feel self-inflicted. After all, it was his own obsession with ice cream that caused him to spiral out in the first place. But to be fair, that's pretty realistic for how a child would act. It's not unheard of for a kid to fixate on a problem that may or may not be real and build it up so much that it ends up manifesting as a full-on crisis. Carl had mixed feelings about the ice cream festival, and when you don't know how to communicate those feelings, it makes sense that they would pile up until it becomes too much to handle. I like that the show took the time to build up to Carl's meltdown, so we understand why he flips out after the final straw. This feels like a realistic tantrum that any child would have. Unlike Caillou, who lost his shit on a whim because he got his dates mixed up, or DW, who had a week-long crap attack because she wasn't invited to a random kid's birthday party. And again, I gotta give credit to Carl's mom for having the patience to help her son rather than just yelling at him to calm down. She clearly understands that Carl is dealing with a lot of complex emotions and takes the time to help him express his feelings. So I don't think this story is a total loss, even if Carl was a bit of a brat. But if you thought Carl was a brat in this episode, just wait till you see him bully his friend into being his servant. So Carl's cast is actually a follow-up to the pilot episode, The Autograph Collection, which ended with Carl breaking his wrist after trying to jump the creek on his bike. And here, we see Carl has had a rather tough time adjusting to his itchy arm cast. Even just taking out the trash is a hellish task for him. Lotta tries to cheer up Carl by inviting him to do origami in the park, even though he doesn't have enough hands to fold the paper. Oops. Carl says that if he can't do origami, then he doesn't want to go. Well, maybe Lotta just wanted to spend time with you. You ever think about that, Carl?
Enjoy the use of both your functioning and non-broken wrists.
Alright, screw you, you little twerp. Holy crap, I've never said that to Carl before. What's going on here? It appears God has a cruel sense of humor, as Carl is repeatedly invited to things he can't do with a broken wrist, like going to the water park or rock climbing at the playground. But like, the playground has things to do other than rock climbing, and you can still go to the water park if you put a plastic bag over your cast. The only thing stopping you from having fun is your shitty attitude.
This is a disaster. A discaster.
Carl, you can't be pissed off and trying to make puns at the same time. It's not very appealing. Just then, Sheldon shows up to help Carl take out the recycling. Sheldon takes pity on Carl and offers to be his right-hand man. Literally, he agrees to help Carl do everything he can't do with his broken hand. Let's see how long it takes him to regret that decision. Carl insists they dress for the role, because what's not to love about two kids in a trench coat? Carl complains that Sheldon is in his personal space, even though it was his idea to have them wear the coat. The two then try to make a glitter glue painting of the Big Dipper. Carl makes Sheldon do all the work as his right hand, and then has the gall to nitpick him for not getting the formation right.
That is not how my other hand would draw that.
Then take your hand that isn't broken and do it yourself if you care that much. At least things can't get any worse for Sheldon. Yeah, that tracks. Instead of helping Sheldon clean up, Carl continues to scold him for doing the painting wrong. Carl then insists they try jumping rope, and it isn't long before he's at Sheldon's throat again. The two end up eating and Carl is quick to pass the blame. Sheldon is about to tell him off when Carl suggests they try one more activity. Okay, Carl, I'm gonna stop you right there. You can absolutely blow bubbles with one hand. At this point, you're just trying to make Sheldon suffer. The bubble ends up blowing up in their faces, though at least Carl can't blame Sheldon for that, right?
You got bubble goo on me.
Oh, you, Carl. Oh my god, did I just say that? This wasn't supposed to happen. You were supposed to be the good one, Carl. Sheldon is rightfully pissed and storms off before he can make Carl kick his own ass. Carl is somehow confused why Sheldon is upset. And yeah, I get that recognizing emotions in other people is difficult for you, but come on, Carl. You know exactly why he's mad at you. Sheldon finally tells him off for being a bossy little control freak, and instead of saying sorry, Carl thanks Sheldon for letting him boss him around so he could feel better about his broken wrist. What the hell kind of apology is that? Carl decides to make it up to Sheldon by getting him his favorite branches for a snack. Leave it to a beaver to get a hankering for wood chips. Sheldon gives Carl an extra branch so he can scratch the inside of his cast. I hope it gives him splinters. Jesus, what is this episode doing to me? So yeah, what the hell was that I thought Carl was being bratty in the last episode, but here, he's 100 times worse. It's one thing to get worked up over a tantrum, but it's quite another to treat your friend as your personal slave. I don't get why people say The Meltdown is the worst episode, when Carl's cast is obviously the brattiest episode of the show. At least I hope it is. I would be heartbroken if Carl was this bratty all the time, after I've already sung his praises. But if these two episodes are anything to go off of, Carl might be giving Daniel Tiger a run for his money. Don't believe me? Let's review. Carl was an absolute jerk to his friends and family. First, he got so obsessed with the ice cream festival that he spent 2 whole days counting it down in real time. He got himself so worked up that he snapped at everyone and had a full-blown meltdown in front of his mom, which is extra infuriating since he didn't even end up going to the ice cream festival. He then spent the better part of his summer griping about an injury he gave himself by being reckless. He got snippy with his friends when they tried to cheer him up, and then took advantage of the only one who was willing to put up with his BS. Carl spent the whole day bossing around his best friend and yelling at him for not doing everything perfectly. And when Sheldon finally got fed up with Carl's crap, the big-headed brat didn't even have the decency to give him a real apology. And if you think I'm being too harsh to Carl, just remember that having autism isn't an excuse to be an asshole. F you I can't even bring myself to say it, so I'll say this instead. Can it, Carl? Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission a review for my channel. You can also become a channel member to get early access. Am I the only one who thinks Max should have his own spin-off without Daniel Tiger?
Tiger-tastic!
Stop! Just stop! Hey everyone, before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a hype since I guess that's still a feature. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicMatt25 for even more FU content. So as you might know, April is Autism Acceptance Month, which is cool and all, but shouldn't we be accepting of autism every month? No. He's got a point. Semantics aside, I wanted to take this opportunity to highlight my favorite character from my least favorite cartoon, Max. His inaugural episode actually aired in April of 2021 to coincide with Autism Acceptance Month. I appreciate PBS making the effort, I just wish the episode itself wasn't a total Tiger train wreck.
Clang, clang, clang!
Despite his disastrous debut, I really do think Max is a highlight of the show as a whole. Not only does he have a great personality that expands beyond just being Daniel Tiger's autistic friend, but he's also the only kid on the show who never acts like a whiny little brat. As the show goes on, he pops up in a handful of episodes, like when Daniel Tiger goes to day camp or when the two are nervous about asking their friends if they want to hang out together. Yeah, spoiler alert, that nervous feeling never goes away. Ever. I hate that Max is always forced to play second fiddle to Daniel when he's strong enough to carry an episode on his own. And it appears the show would agree with me, since that's what happened in the most recent episode to air, Max Plays at the Library. This episode shows a day in the life of Max as he learns to adapt to the changes around him. Like, he's not just the focus of the episode, but he talks to the audience as if he's the one running the show. And it's about damn time if you ask me. This actually happens a lot during Daniel Tiger's latest season. Not only does the series shift the perspective to the other kids, but there are whole episodes where Daniel Tiger doesn't even show up. It's almost like PBS watched every Daniel Tiger hate video that came out within the last year and thought, maybe we shouldn't take a giant whiz all over Fred Rogers' legacy. They also changed up some of the character designs and started animating at a lower frame rate. I know it bugs some people, but I didn't think the original animation was that good to begin with, so it doesn't really bother me. Just as long as they don't make any more potty training episodes. Oh, god damn it. So let's try to purge our minds of that revolting visual and imagine for one blissful moment that Daniel Tiger doesn't exist. Instead, we're going to be following the delightful adventures of Max and see why the show should have been about him all along. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 10,000 likes. Max and Amira are going to the library to pee. The two are about to head inside when Max gets distracted by a butterfly.
Butterflies have 6 legs.
Damn, Max, how is your voice deeper than mine? The two head inside for story time. It turns out Mailman McFeely is going to be leading story time, which gives Max a bad
Mad McFeeling. He doesn't understand how Mr. McFeely can be the storytime reader when he's already the mailman.
Storytime reader and mail carrier? No.
Now, while this might seem like a silly thing to get upset about, I can understand why Max would be confused by the idea of grown-ups having more than one job. That's like when I found out my middle school Spanish teacher was also a Walmart greeter. Donde está el Cocoa Puff, Senor Greenberg? Amir explains that people can be more than one thing, like how Max is both a brother and a brother. Max starts to get comfortable with the idea, as it looks like story time is about to begin.
Some of your friends are here for story time too.
Oh, what the hell? I was specifically promised there'd be no Daniel Tiger in this episode.
Hi, Max.
You sicken me. Well, it was nice while it lasted, but can we really not go a whole 11 minutes without this attention-craving cretin inserting himself into everyone else's story? Max is still nervous about story time, until he finds out the story is about bugs.
And a roly-poly. Roly-poly.
Oh, hell yeah. Now Max is locked the in. Mr. McFeely delights the kids with a story about a grasshopper and a roly-poly who have a race. The grasshopper assumes he'll win because he can jump farther, and oh, this is just the tortoise and the hare. So why not just read the tortoise and the hare? Though Max doesn't seem to mind the copycat kids book. In fact, he's so excited that he can't even stay in his seat.
Roly-polies roll up into balls.
Holy I think that's the first time Max has ever made eye contact with us. Good job, Max. The book ends with the roly-poly winning the race by rolling up into a ball. What, was the entire race downhill? It looks like Max absolutely loved the story, which is great until Daniel Tiger opens his big fat mouth.
Tiger-tastic!
Damn it, Daniel, we've talked about this. You can't be screaming your head off right next to Max. Are you trying to give him another anxiety attack? Thankfully, things settle down as the kids imagine what it'd be like to be bugs. And it looks like we're gonna see a fantasy sequence from Max's point of view.
I am going to make believe.
I love how matter-of-fact he is about it, like, everybody shut up, I'm going to dreamland now. Max imagined himself as a bug, and unlike Daniel Tiger's fantasies, which always feature an annoying gimmicky song, here, we're allowed to just sit in the moment and take it all in. I also love how everything in Max's world is made of felt and pipe cleaners, like it's something he made himself. It's a refreshingly relaxed vibe that makes me wish we could see more of Max's fantasies in future episodes. Max tells Mr. McFeely that he loves roly-polies.
I like the roly-poly too.
Nobody f***ing asked you, Daniel. The kids then get ready for craft time, where we see Amira has prepared a bunch of fun little milk carton derby cars. Daniel and Miss Elena are surprised that Amira is leading craft time, since they're used to her being their babysitter.
You're a babysitter and you're a craft time helper?
Why is that surprising to you, Miss Elena? Like, I get that this is a callback to Max's dilemma with Mr. McFeely, but keep in mind, Amira is only 12. Yeah, she's twice as old as her brother and his friends, but she's still a kid. Kids do more than one thing all the time. Like, there's another episode where Amira is their camp counselor, and the kids didn't seem surprised then. Daniel assumes Max will want bug stickers for his carton car, but Max reveals his car is actually swimming themed.
But I thought you only liked bugs.
Seriously, Daniel, have you not been paying attention to the message of the episode? Also, what are you talking about? The first time you met him, Max said he likes things other than bugs. A real friend would have remembered that. Unfortunately, we have to have at least one crappy song sequence for it to be a true Daniel Tiger episode. You can be more than one thing. We see how everyone in the land of make-believe has their own side hustle, like how Prince Tuesday is a lifeguard, a waiter, an artist, a camp counselor, an ice cream vendor, a crossing guard, a babysitter. Jesus Christ, how many jobs does this kid have? I mean, say what you want about King Friday, at least his son understands the value of manual labor. The kids then race their derby cars, and Daniel Tiger comes in first, because of course he does. Amira congratulates her brother for putting up with Daniel for the entire afternoon, as she reminds him that everyone should be more than just one thing. Like how Daniel Tiger can be both a pain in the neck and a pain in the ass. I'm just saying, it's nice to have an episode end without Daniel Tiger trying to jump scare the audience with that ugga-mugga crap. So yeah, despite the occasional interruption from a certain tumultuous tiger, I really enjoyed this episode. It was great getting to see Max grow and adapt to new challenges rather than just having the moral of the episode parroted to us by this cranky cub. The episode overall just has a more relaxed and somber tone than other Daniel-centric stories, where the energy is always at 9,000%. Go figure the main thing holding back Daniel Tiger's neighborhood was Daniel Tiger.
I'm the baby!
I am now convinced that Max deserves his own spin-off. Yeah, I know Carl the Collector already exists, but it's not as if there's an oversaturation of cartoons with autistic leads. I especially love the dynamic Max has with his older sister. Amira is a very kind and supportive sibling who's always there to help her little brother try new things, while also assuring him that it's okay to be upset or nervous about unfamiliar situations. The two play off each other really well, and I can see them going on an entire series of adventures together. But that ultimately begs the question, who do you think should get their own spin-off? I'd much rather watch 100 episodes of this than a single episode of this.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If there's a specific cartoon you want me to watch, top-tier patrons can commission a review from my channel. You can also become a channel member to get early access to all my uncensored videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Smoke, slander, sabotage, suffering, fire, fraud, friendship. Is it just me, or has Matt Neff completely fallen off? I know he just recently hit 100,000 subscribers, but his channel has been in a downward spiral for a while now. If you don't know who I'm talking about, consider yourself lucky. This toxic troll has spent the last 3 years ranting about how he thinks fictional cartoon babies are worse than genocidal dictators. Like, seriously, dude, get a life. And it'd be one thing if he just had bad opinions about cartoons, which, make no mistake, he definitely does. But I swear, all his videos sound like they're copy and pasted from the same ChatGPT prompt. I dare you to take a shot every time he says play, but you'd be dead in 2 minutes. If you spend even 5 seconds on his channel, you'll see that all his videos are a bunch of clickbait slop that make 2010 YouTube poops look like Oscar-winning short films. He also has this weird fixation on proving Arthur's dad is secretly having an affair with his son's teacher. Like, he'll bring it up in every single video. And I can't tell if it's supposed to be a joke, or if he genuinely wants to see two grown men go at it in a show that, again, is made for children. It's obvious this dude is just another failed actor or comedian who pivoted to YouTube because some of his posts got lucky with the algorithm. If cartoon brats weren't a trending topic, he'd probably be making AI rage bait. I have no idea how he tricked 100,000 people into subscribing, but his channel is a blatant insult to anyone with a working brain. Hey everyone, what the hell? First of all, don't be alarmed. I know you're not used to seeing my face move. I've been working on this 100K celebration video for a while now, and I figured you deserve to see more than just a JPEG of my head floating in front of some Arthur clips. And before you say anything, yes, I know I don't have the beard. Trust me, I look better without it. So yeah, where the hell did this come from? I know I say it a lot, but seriously, thank you all so much for 100,000 subscribers. I could not have done this without you, and I'm so grateful that you've stuck with me after all this time. I especially want to thank all my patrons and channel members who ensure I can do this as a living. So I've been on the YouTube grind for a little over 3 years now, and in that time, I haven't really had a chance to look back on my journey and reflect on what it took to get to this point. And I know I'm not the only one on this journey. A lot of my friends in the YouTube space are on the exact same grind as I am. Regardless of how long we've been making videos, we've all been working towards the exact same goal. You've seen them in my other videos, but I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Snipesam. I like to look at things we grew up with through a slightly different, often darker lens.
Hi everybody, my name's King Nooseme, and I make videos about anthology horror shows, but mostly kid shows like Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Hi, my name is Centennial, or Parker, and I make YouTube videos sometimes. I would say they're mostly about weird media and media trends, but I'll be real, it's kinda random.
Hey everyone, I'm the Cartoon Movement, where I'm mostly responsible for my videos on Norman Price, and my videos trying to find obscure kids cartoons that are mostly hidden by 6'7" and all that AI slop.
Hey, I'm Simply Colin, and I make videos?
Since this is my 100,000 subscriber celebration video, I thought it'd be fun to give a peek behind the curtain to show what it's like to make YouTube videos for a living.
What originally inspired you to make videos for YouTube?
During COVID, I did this online screenwriting fellowship that was run by Aaron Daniel Jacob. If you don't know his face, you definitely know his voice from shows like Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law. I told him about my idea for a video making fun of Arthur's big hit, and he graciously agreed to lend his voice to the project. I also got some of my friends in the fellowship to help edit the video, and thus, the first episode of FUDW was born. I posted it to my YouTube channel in January of 2021, where it pretty much sat dormant for the next 2 years. Yeah, it wasn't exactly an overnight sensation. What about you guys? What inspired you to make YouTube videos?
I was bored.
In the beginning, and I mean when I was like 14, I wanted a place to talk about cartoons. I was really into cartoons, and that's what I made my channel for. You guys want to see something wild? That's me from one of my first videos. Lord help me. I wish I remember where my channel name came from. It's not a reference to anything. It's not anything special that I remember. It might honestly have been from a username generator. But this has always been the channel where I put my stuff. A lot of it is private now because, I mean, well, look at it, but there's still a few old ones I'm happy enough with to keep up.
I found this site in 2007 when I was 6 years old, before people even imagined being paid to post on here. But channels like Smosh made it look like a ton of fun. So I started making videos like almost immediately of random things. I don't know, I was just hanging out most of the time. So yeah, there is a channel out there of a little King Noose me just having fun posting nonsensical stuff, and you'll never find it. It's hidden forever.
I started making videos originally because I like sharing my thoughts on things, especially when I've got a slightly different angle from the mainstream. YouTube's obviously the main outlet for that.
I did make videos on Cartoon Brats at one point, but let's just say it got pretty toxic. Prior to this cartoon channel though, I was doing wrestling content on 2 other channels that have since been deleted.
Were there any specific channels you took inspiration from?
Not really.
Well, like every great idea, I stole it from someone else. Yeah, I've been very open about how my videos were heavily inspired by Zach Morse's trash.
In terms of inspiration, those old Smosh skits, they're the ones I watched absolutely religiously when I was a kid. And they still hold on for the humor factor.
It was around mid-2024 when I started seeing your FUDW and FU Caillou videos on my feed, and it basically got me interested into doing cartoon videos myself. It was just something about your content that really intrigued me to do the same.
My inspirations at the time were creators like Mr. Enter, Nostalgia Critic JonTron, Listen It Was 2015, and Kid Icarus. There's actually a Kid Icarus series that I really credit for a lot of my style, and that's actually the nursery rhyme series he did. I remember when those first came out, I had never seen something that was covering a piece of nostalgic media in a way that wasn't completely snide and sarcastic. YouTube criticism was either very positive or very negative, AVGN kind of stuff. And no hate to anyone who makes or enjoys that kind of content. I do too, but seeing a video that poked fun at the cheapness of something while acknowledging the genuine creativity that went into it was something I hadn't personally seen before. I still think they're really nicely balanced videos and have a really nice tone.
The maid was in the garden, hanging out the clothes.
They're lemons. And I do think they really affected how I wanted to make content, especially because even now, my favorite things to talk about are ones that aren't really that good, but have a lot of heart to them.
What was the first video on your channel that really took off?
My Goosebumps video.
The first video of mine that really took off was my compilation of the first few FUDWs, which is ironic because it's probably the worst video I've ever made. After the first FUDW, I tried to get Aaron to make more, but since he's an actual professional, his schedule was just so busy that it just never worked out. Cut to 18 months later and I finally said, fine, I'll do it myself. I got Adobe Premiere Pro and a very cheap microphone, aka a very shitty microphone, and cranked out about 6 or 7 FUDWs with just the worst audio quality imaginable. If you've watched the video recently, it's very jarring to go from this,
because the instant DW has the chance, she throws it out the goddamn window,
to this.
DW brags that Kate is her favorite sibling.
I uploaded them all together in January of 2023, and then 2 months later, it suddenly had over 100,000 views. I should have taken the video success as a sign to invest in a better microphone. Oh well, better late than never, I guess.
The first video that really took off was the Perfect Peter Psychopath analysis. I grew up listening to the Horrid Henry audiobooks in the car constantly, and something about Peter just honestly really rubbed me up the wrong way. Learning about psychology as I got older made me realize that Peter's actually a much darker character than we all thought he originally was. What's interesting is that there are now probably 5 other videos on Peter being a psychopath from other creators, but they're all about the TV show, whereas my original video was actually about the books. It's kind of fascinating how that idea is taken off and morphed into something else entirely.
The first video to blow up on my channel was actually my first ever Haunting Hour video, which slowly became the thing I have been known for on YouTube. I used to love Goosebumps and the Haunting Hour movie as a kid, and as a Halloween special one year, I was planning on talking about the Haunting Hour movie, but then I found out that there was a TV show that I completely missed somehow, so I checked it out and discovered that it is absolutely insane. So obviously I was like, I've got to make a video on this. So I made a video on the first episode, which is also the most popular episode in the series, and it just blew my channel up. I got 10K views from it in a couple of days, and it took my channel from about 600 subs to 5,000 subs very quickly, and now that video sits at about 200K views, and I'm very proud of it.
The first video that really blew up for my channel though was my first Little Brown Bear video, which currently sits at around 82,000 views. Prior to this, however, I basically wanted to debunk how bratty people were making these cartoon brats out to be. But when my Little Brown Bear videos were blowing up, I left that niche in the dust and just went with the flow.
Well, the first time I had a video really take off was last year when I made my video about the penguin. It felt just as wild as this recent spike has been, but I was kind of shell-shocked by that and wasn't sure how to react. It was more eyes on me than I had ever had, and it scared me a little, and I didn't really have any other video ideas in the chamber at the time, so I kind of wasted that momentum. Hopefully this time will be different.
Has your channel changed or evolved since you first started uploading?
I think the main thing that's changed for me are the types of shows I talk about. A lot of my early subscribers know me as the FUDW guy, and that's because for the first year of my channel, I only made FUDW videos. Like, not even general Arthur videos, just FUDW. I didn't set out to become this bastion of the cartoon brat community, but when you lean into making fun of cartoon brats, it kind of becomes your whole channel's MO. I made a few videos here and there about other cartoons. At one point, I even tried pivoting into live action shows. But at the time, it's pretty clear FUDW was the main draw of my channel. I remember I specifically made it a point not to talk about Caillou until I got 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, I really dangled that carrot in front of you all for a while, because I guess I thought it would be a good incentive to get people to subscribe. Though looking back on it, I probably would have gotten to 10K sooner if I had just made FU Caillou sooner. But every channel goes through a changing period when they start taking off.
Yeah, when I look back, my channel's changed pretty damn massively. My super early videos from about 5 or 6 years ago were really boring. They were just me reading stories. And that's because back then, it was all about keyword search rather than the algorithm. I guess I kind of thought if I uploaded myself reading these books, then people would search for them and somehow find my channel. Then I pivoted to Horrid Henry content, which was, I guess, right place, right time. The thing is, Horrid Henry's basically a dead franchise now, so I knew I couldn't keep making those videos and expect growth. So I guess I'm glad that even when those Horrid Henry videos were smashing it on the algorithm, I kept making other different contents. Caillou, Little Brown Bear, Terrible Wimpy Kids, because I guess I always believed that I had more to say than just giving my opinions about Henry.
I'd pretty much use your format for most of my earlier videos, but I've since found my own style and try to make content in my own unique way.
I used to make bad videos, and now I make slightly less bad videos.
Like I said, I started talking about cartoons and kids media, but I guess to put it in the sappiest way possible, I grew up. Not that I don't still talk about cartoons and pop culture now, but I never expected to be reading through multiple studies and peer reviews about real-life science and medical neglect for a video, you know? The scope has changed a little.
Oh, my channel has had a huge progression. I started with gaming content and I uploaded about 3 times a week for 2 years straight with I think I grew like maybe 400 subs. So when that didn't work, I decided to just change it up and start making videos about movies because I've always been interested in movies and TV shows. And now my channel has turned into a full-fledged horror show and movie channel somehow.
What was one of your proudest moments as a creator in the early stages of your channel?
DW Goes to Jail is what put me over 1,000 subs, and How DW Ruined Christmas is what put me over 10,000. Fun fact, the week I posted my Arthur Christmas video was the same week I got my appendix removed. Yeah, DW was such a pain in my side, I literally needed surgery. DW Gets Put to Sleep was my first video to get 100,000 views in under 2 weeks, and I attribute that solely to the thumbnail. What can I say? Some of these brats really put the youth in euthanasia. I've also gotten to meet some pretty cool people. Hell, I even got the nostalgia critic and the cinema snob on board the DW hate train.
Just want to say, on our hearts, FUDW!
Da-da-da, name dropping, name dropping, name dropping, name dropping. But personally, my proudest moment was when one of Arthur's original storyboard artists started commenting on my videos with fun behind-the-scenes stories about the show. It was just so funny to me that even the people who worked on Arthur agree that DW is a huge brat. But honestly, every creator has a few moments of pride from the early days of their channel.
The thing that I'm most proud of on the channel is probably seeing the channels that I've called out make positive changes. Look at Unsum. I mean, horrible AI slop, but recently they've gone back to making human-made content. Partly because the view count tanked, but partly because of fan backlash, which I guess I played a part with. Similar thing with Meet Arnold, where you've got this great channel that's built a legacy over so many years, and then they just throw that in the garbage to try and make a quick buck. Their more recent videos have been a lot better, I have to say. So I guess I'm pleased that holding these channels to account has led to a positive outcome.
come. One of my proudest moments for me in the early stages of my YouTube channel was when my first Thomas Daly reaction video surpassed 100,000 views. At the time, I didn't think it was possible to get 50k on a video, let alone 100,000. So it was a pretty big accomplishment for me.
My proudest moment of being a small creator was definitely getting to 1K and getting monetized on YouTube. I think that's the milestone for many people when they first start, and that milestone took me years, and it felt amazing when I finally hit it. I also remember the first time I had a video hit 100k views within a week. That actually felt like a huge accomplishment to me, and it made me feel like I have a chance to do great things with my platform. Now I just gotta catch up with Matt and reach 100k, so sub to me please!
It's only recently that my channel has started getting a decent amount of attention with my last 2 videos. Compared to my baseline, they really blew up. And it was pretty shocking, honestly, because that's more people than I can even fathom wanting to listen to me talk for half an hour about Benny Cumberby's polysubstance hellscape. Like, I'm still processing it. But honestly, it's given me so much motivation to keep going. I don't really want to just come out and say I do it for the views, but seeing people actually engaging with a thing that I made, especially on this scale, kinda lit a fire under me, not gonna lie. And I really hope I can be more consistent than I have been in the past. Especially because the comments of my last couple videos have kind of blown me away. I know they say you attract the energy you put out in the world and all that, but it's YouTube comments. They don't have a great reputation. But even my criticism has been in such good faith. It's made me proud? Is that the right word for it? It makes me happy.
At what point did you consider doing YouTube as a full-time job?
It's not my full-time job.
I started considering doing YouTube full-time right after I finished grad school. By that point, my channel had started to take off, but I wasn't really making bank off of it. I also wasn't having any luck finding a real job, so I moved back in with my dad, where I spent the next several months continuing to make videos while simultaneously doom-scrolling on LinkedIn. But after a while, I started to notice that my videos actually were doing well. Not well enough to buy a house or a car or anything, but at that point, I could do YouTube as a living. But I've also made it a point not to make YouTube my entire life, because a lot has changed for me since I started my channel. I got my master's degree, I moved to a new city, and I've been taking more acting gigs. Yeah, in addition to being an angry cartoon YouTuber, I'm also a working actor. Earlier this year, I got asked to audition for Studio C. I didn't get cast, but it was still nice that they asked. Hell, I was even in a Super Bowl commercial. Yes, it was a local one, so what? Let's see Paul Allen's Super Bowl commercial. I know I'm very fortunate to be able to do YouTube as a full-time job, and I was curious how my other YouTube friends balance their work-life schedules with making YouTube videos.
I don't.
Yes, YouTube is now my full-time job. Before that, the balance was, I can't lie, it was super difficult. As any creator will tell you, creating this content takes a massive amount of time and energy. So, honestly, I'm much happier now that I can focus in time.
It was around the end of November 2024 that I started to take YouTube seriously once the money started to roll in. For me, it wasn't about doing these mostly for fun. It was a job at that point.
I quit my job at Lowe's in June of 2024. I told myself when I first got monetized that if I make more money on YouTube than Lowe's for 6 months, then I would quit my job at Lowe's and put all my focus into YouTube. And it did not take me long to hit that goal. Well, it took me 6 months to hit that goal, but if you get what I mean. As for the work-life balance of YouTube, I try to wake up at 7 every day, and I usually work until about 5 p.m. And I try to give myself at least 2 days off a week. But even on those days off, I'm kind of working. You know, you're always checking out your analytics. You're trying to see if your video is doing well. The YouTube grind really never stops.
What are some of the struggles you face with being a content creator?
Burnout. Oh, and copyright claims.
That is way too real, Colin. Part of the reason I don't talk about Caillou anymore is because WildBrain is a tyrant when it comes to copyright claims. I tried editing my Christmas Caillou video 6 times, and each one got automatically flagged. It got to the point where I just said, screw it, and posted it anyway. I know we've all had that moment where we're working on a video that we know is going to get flagged, and we make the video anyway. Like, we know we're not going to make any money from it, but we still put out the video because that's how passionate we are as creators. I feel like there's 4 struggles every content creator can relate to. Copyright, burnout, bullying, and content theft. Or CBBC for all you tea drinkers out there. Sorry, Snipe Snap.
The main struggles I faced on the channel, probably I could put down to 2 different things. First up, gotta say it, content theft. There was a channel called Streams that, when Horrid Henry videos were at their peak, was copying my videos almost word for word. At first, I wasn't really bothered because it's YouTube, what are you gonna do? But then I noticed that their view counts are actually surpassing my own, and that really rubbed me up the wrong way. It's really difficult emotionally when you put time and effort into your work, people just steal that from you. I mean, it's not nice. The second problem, I would say, is copyright issues. It's kind of hard to take YouTube seriously as an art form when you're so hindered by copyright claims. Just last week, I got an email about 2 of my videos, both of which have very high view counts, saying that they've been copyright claimed. These videos are months, even years old, by the way. I know that you can dispute the claim, but then that risks a copyright strike. Alternatively, you can just remove the offending content, which is what I tend to do. But then the video becomes this strange version of what I originally intended. So big companies can claim the videos, take 100% of the revenue, my livelihood by the way, and other channels can copy my videos, and then I can do absolutely nothing. As much as I love YouTube, the community, the platform itself, something's not right there, I can't lie.
I find that being a YouTuber is a huge mental game. The job isn't that hard, and most of the time it's actually a ton of fun, but there are things that try to wear you down over time. The hate comments will always stick around. They do sting a little at first, but after a while you kind of just start laughing them off, and then you start viewing the person behind the computer as like just a sad person who doesn't go outside, and let's be honest, most of them are. I also have a bad habit of trolling the hate comments, which I really need to stop doing that, but personally I think the copyright strikes are what really wear me down. I even made a video about how bad it's gotten recently, and how it's effectively making me change my content style just to keep the corporations happy. It's really annoying, especially when you work for hours on a video just for them to claim it, take all your money, take all your views, and sometimes it even kills the video. I just hope that one day all these corporations will recognize that YouTubers only help push their movies and shows to wider audiences that will probably watch whatever they made if they just give them a chance.
While being a content creator is fun, there are a few downsides that come with it. The brain fog I get trying to think of new good video ideas is just insufferable, and there are times where I want to put no effort into my content, which is something I've learned to get through. Mean comments are also something I've learned to get through, because it's not a reflection on who I am as a person. I mostly see it as them being jealous of how far I've come as a YouTuber.
My biggest struggle I've faced with my channel is honestly my own fear of failure. I have to admit, I'm a little afraid of the internet. I'm a genuinely strange nerd in a lot of ways, and I don't always think and say things that are popular, and I don't always phrase my points that well. So I'm always a little afraid I'm gonna miss the mark on something and end up as a lolcow, but I'll be damned. So far, my audience really rules.
As grateful as I am to have 100,000 subscribers, I still remember what it was like hustling to get even 100 subscribers. As my friends can tell you, the idea of getting 100,000 subscribers feels almost like a fantasy. So for my fellow YouTubers who are still striving for that silver milestone, I want to know,
what would it mean to have 100,000 subscribers?
It would be pretty cool. Oh, once I hit 100K, I'm gonna go get me a little treat. And then I'm going to Disney World. But no, seriously, it is like my top goal as a YouTuber right now. I would be ecstatic, over the moon, and I will be super annoying about it to all my friends and fans for a few weeks. I just can't wait to get that little plaque. It's gonna go right there. In that general area. I don't have enough space for it, actually.
If I were to ever get 100,000 subscribers, it would be a dream come true. I know the grind can be hard and demotivating at times, especially when view counts fall to pieces. But if you don't give up and keep pushing through, it'll pay off big time.
one thing I was not prepared for was the feeling I got when I actually hit 100K. Like, it's one thing to spend years trying to attain what seems like an unattainable goal, but as it gets closer and it starts to sink in that you actually might get what you've been wanting for so long, it's a very mind-boggling feeling. In the days leading up to it, I was checking my subscriber count every 10 minutes. Yeah, as much as we all try to be humble on this platform, there's that carnal part of my brain that occasionally takes over and goes, me want shiner. And when the moment finally came, I was hit with this instant wave of pride and disbelief. Like, wow, it actually happened. And then I was immediately hit with another wave of imposter syndrome. How could I, a whiny little edgelord with a microphone and a laptop, possibly deserve this honor when there are countless creators out there making way better content than me? What kind of grown man spends all his time talking about cartoons? It's funny that I turned 30 this year because I've never felt like a real grown-up. Like, so many of the people I went to school with are now married and have kids and have real jobs. Whenever someone would ask me what I do for work, I would always say YouTuber, as if it were a dirty word. It took me a long time to embrace YouTuber as a legit job title.
And now I've got this nice piece of hardware to show for it. SnipeSnap, you were the first one in our group to hit 100,000 subscribers, and it's not hard to see why. What was it like for you when you first hit that silver milestone?
Yeah, I'd say that reaching 100k definitely felt really, really special. I mean, when you first start creating, when you first start taking the platform seriously, that number just feels like impossibly far away. When you do hit 100k, it makes you look back and you realize just how many ideas you've had, how many hours you've put in. Statistically, from when you start, it's like incredibly unlikely you'll ever reach that number, especially as an independent creator. I also wanted an opportunity to show off how beautiful my cat Lucky was. So yeah, it's a special feeling, and honestly, it makes me proud whenever I see my silver play button.
And you should be proud. We all know how long it takes to make a channel and build an audience, which inevitably begs the question,
if you had to start over with your channel, what would you do differently?
If I had to start over, there are a couple things I would do differently. For one thing, I probably wouldn't have named my channel after myself. Like, that wasn't on purpose. I just started posting FUDW on my personal channel because I had nowhere else to post them. And when the videos started taking off, I felt like it was too late to change the channel name because everyone already associated my name and face with FUDW. I'm not embarrassed to have my real name associated with my channel. I just don't think it gives people a good sense of the type of content I create. In hindsight, I probably should have created a separate channel and called it something like FU Crew or Bratty Baby Beatdown or the Cartoon Movement. Wait, I think that one might be taken. I also had a bad habit of tracking how many subscribers I got after every upload. To me, tracking your subscribers is like counting calories. It's not inherently a bad thing, but if you base every meal you cook around reaching a specific calorie count, do you actually enjoy cooking? Similarly, if you base every video you make around hitting a specific subscriber goal, do you actually enjoy making videos? When I first got 10,000 subs, I got a bit of a swelled head. I remember I DM'd every animation YouTuber on Instagram trying to get them to collab with me. I'm talking about creators with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers. And here I was, some rinky-dink shitposter saying that I was doing them a favor by suggesting we collab. What about you guys? What would you do differently?
Probably not be cringe.
If I were to start this channel over, I'd probably try to go all out for my first video. Not that it was bad or anything, but that thumbnail definitely needs some work.
I would just cut out all the gaming stuff I did and start with what I'm actually interested in, like I'm doing right now. That would just save me 2 years of my life. But I'm also kind of glad that I did that because it gave me plenty of time to figure out where I fit in on this massive platform and also how to use it to my advantage.
If, God forbid, I had to start over with my channel, I'd have invested in a better microphone way, way sooner. When my first video went viral, I had a very, very budget mic. And as any YouTuber will tell you, that makes a massive, massive difference. So my really early Horrid Henry videos did really, really well, but they were hindered by sounding bloody awful. I remember reading comments about the sound quality and it just felt like super depressing. Having said that, I did invest that money from those early videos in this Shure microphone, and the difference, I have to say, is absolutely night and day.
Dude, I am right there with you. I've only been using the Shure mic since last July, and if you go back and listen to some of my videos from before 2024, the audio is absolute garbage. Like, if you listen back to season 1 of FUDW, it's a wonder I ever got 1,000 subscribers.
What are your goals for the future of your channel?
Probably not be cringe.
Look, I know I can't talk about cartoon brats forever. I know a lot of creators in the brat community have either jumped ship or pivoted their channels in a different direction. And honestly, I don't blame them. It can feel repetitive talking about the same handful of cartoons week after week. That siren. It can feel repetitive making videos about the same handful of cartoons week after week. So I'm always excited to try something new. I would love to do more long-form videos about animated shows and movies that I grew up with. I also love discovering new shows like Carl the Collector that give me hope for the future of children's animation. Hell, I would love to make my own cartoon someday, but first I need to learn how to draw.
My goals for the future of the channel are to keep finding topics that lots of people can hopefully resonate with, as well as being things that I personally also find interesting. The whole thing about my channel is looking at things that we've grown up with. Horrid Henry, Daniel Tiger, Cahoots, and then seeing them from a different perspective. When you grow up with these things, they just seem so normal that, you know, most of us tend to just not give them a second thought. So finding more of those topics and connecting with people about them is just brilliant, and that's something I definitely want to keep doing.
I just want to make better videos, man. Higher quality, better writing, better jokes. Overall, a more entertaining experience for the audience. And eventually, I would love to start donating more to charity. But first, I'm going to need YouTube to stop copyrighting my videos.
things I'm trying to work for the future of this channel is increasing the overall quality of my videos and just be more active with my audience via live streaming.
I don't really know where I go from here. I really want to keep making content. I have lots of ideas, but I also really strongly want to keep ad and sponsors off my videos because one, I hate them and I hate seeing them on other people's content, and two, I really don't want to deal with worrying about demonetization. I already censor myself a little bit more than I want to, and I'm not even worrying about the money aspect. I really am not willing to make that compromise more than I already have. But the flip side to that is that it limits my ability to make money with my videos, which means my real jobs have to be my first priority, which means that uploads still can't be as consistent as I would like them to be. It would be amazing if my channel could keep growing, but whether or not that can really happen given the boundaries that I've set for myself, I don't really know. It's a mystery to you and to me, so I guess we'll figure it out together, won't we?
Thanks for having me on for this, Matt. You are one of my goats, and congrats for 100,000 subscribers.
Congratulations, Mr. Matt Neff, on 100K. Thank you for letting me be a part of this video. It's been a huge honor, and you've been a great friend to me here recently.
Congrats to Matt for 100K subscribers.
Congratulations, Matt, on hitting 100K. Honestly, it's incredibly well deserved. I'd consider you the father of brat content on the internet. If you want to take that as a compliment, I don't know, but that's just how I feel. Because honestly, you were doing it with Caillou, you were doing it with DW, way before I came along, way before Cartoon Movement came along, way before even VP Awesome came along. So yeah, congratulations, Matt. It's honestly so well deserved. Well done, dude. And I think I speak on behalf of all of your fans when I say we can't wait to see what you come up with next. Cheers.
Thank you guys for helping me with this video. It's tricky navigating the YouTube landscape, and I'm really grateful to have friends like you that I can go on this journey with. And thank you to all of you who watched my videos and helped me get a silver play button in the first place. I literally would not be doing this if it was not for you. And I can't wait for you all to see what I have planned for my channel. Okay, I'm not buying any of this crap. It's obvious Matt has never filmed himself for a video before. Otherwise, he would know to hold the microphone close enough to his face so that it doesn't sound like he's at the bottom of a well. Not only that, but he couldn't even be bothered to put on a clean shirt. It's clear Matt just made this video to show off his shiny new plaque and stroke his own ego. Don't believe me? Let's review. Matt made an entire video to brag about getting 100,000 subscribers that he definitely did not deserve. He tricked a handful of YouTubers into appearing in his video so he could inflate the runtime and make the audience think he actually has friends. He clumsily tried to disguise his bragging as self-deprecation and rambled on about how hard it is to make fun of cartoons for a living. He claimed to have spent a lot of time and effort to make his videos, even though all of his content depends on the hard work of writers and animators with actual talent. And even though his audience seems to enjoy listening to him make fun of brats, it's obvious that Matt is the biggest brat of all time. F you, Matt Neff. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you again so much for 100,000 subscribers. I want to give a big shout out to Snipe Snap. Would you believe that after making over 2 hours of Daniel Tiger hate content, I've actually changed my mind about this tiger toddler?
Serious?
Hey everyone, before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a hype since I guess that's still a feature. You can also follow me on Instagram at MusicManMatt25 for even more FU content. So after 7 months of ranting about how Daniel Tiger is worse than Satan, I've come to the conclusion that I may have overdone it. You don't say. I remember I initially wanted to talk about Daniel Tiger because it was a trending topic in the cartoon brat community. A community that has undeniably done gangbusters for my channel, but has also kind of pigeonholed me as the guy who gets irrationally angry at cartoons made for babies. At the time, I was just happy that more people were watching my videos. At one point, I was getting 2,000 subscribers a day. If DW is what got me to 50,000 subs, then Daniel Tiger is what got me to 100,000. I kept churning out Daniel Tiger hate videos to please the algorithm, and with each one, I had to find more ways to exaggerate how horrible this cartoon cub actually is. Daniel Gets Fixed is my 7th most popular video, and that's about an episode where Daniel goes to the hospital to get ear surgery, and that's it. Not exactly brat behavior. I mean, when you really boil it down, the worst thing about Daniel Tiger is that he's a 4-year-old who doesn't want to share his toys. And then I watched the Nutty Buddies episode of Carl the Collector and was immediately reminded of what an actual brat looks like.
Must be the only squirrel in the world who doesn't like nuts.
Yeah, after watching Buddy the Squirrel try to kill a kid by triggering their nut allergy, it made me reevaluate just how even-keeled Daniel Tiger really is. So to level
level the playing field, I thought it'd only be fair to make a Daniel Tiger redemption video. I've talked a lot about how Daniel is a jerk to his little sister, so for a change of pace, let's talk about a time where he was actually nice to baby Margaret. And I can think of no better example than the hour-long special, Meet the New Baby, where Daniel meets baby Margaret for the first time after his parents bring her home from the hospital. Now, this isn't the first PBS cartoon to do this storyline, but compared to episodes like DW's Baby and Big Brother Caillou, Meet the New Baby is easily the best out of the bunch. So let's delve right in to see why Daniel Tiger was actually a good big brother all along. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 10,000 likes. Daniel Tiger is trying to feed fish, but it looks like he's not quite tall enough to reach the fish tank.
Aww, the fish food is on top of the tin.
Then use a step stool, you dolt. Nope. I said it was going to be nice this time. Carry on, Daniel. Daniel discovers that the fish had babies, and based on the color scheme, it looks like Mama Fish has some explaining to do. Coincidentally, Daniel's parents tell him they're also going to be having a baby. Daniel is somehow surprised that his mom is pregnant. So judging by his exposed belly, it looks like Daniel and his mom are both mean for two. Damn it, Matt, you said you weren't going to be mean to Daniel, so stop being mean to Daniel. But seriously, dude, I think you need a bigger sweater. Daniel doesn't understand where babies come from, so his parents tell the young tiger about the birds and the bees. Daniel Tiger is excited to be a big brother. He imagines what it'd be like if all the local animals had babies at the exact same time. I feel like the Hawks would have a field day. Daniel tells everyone at school that he's going to be a big brother. Katarina wants to play house so she can help Daniel learn how to take care of a baby. But Daniel says he wants to be the baby. Wait, what?
I'm the baby.
Okay, so I guess instead of being a big brother, Daniel decides that he would rather be a loud, cranky baby, which is fine. Kids pretend to be babies all the time. I'm sure there's nothing bratty about what Daniel's doing. Deep breaths, man. Deep breaths. Katarina asks Daniel to grab the baby bottle off the top shelf so she can feed her doll. But the totally not tyrannical toddler wants to stay a baby so he can pee.
Can you help me get the baby bottle? But I'm the baby.
Daniel, I'm really trying here, but you gotta work with me. Thankfully, Daniel's nurturing instincts finally kick in as he drops the infant tack and gets Katarina her baby doll. The two put the doll down for a nap with a song that sounds, well, I'll let you be the judge here.
Mommy loves you so much.
Ironically, it's not the worst song in the show. Daniel finally feels ready to have a baby sibling, but it looks like Katarina is the one who's gone baby crazy.
Can I visit the baby and play with it and feed it and dress it and...
Damn, girl, calm down. You're almost as bad as Panini.
Does Chowder want kids? Because I want a million zillion.
Daniel says he's going to be the best big brother ever, though maybe that'll change when he has to give up his crib and start sharing his toys. Daniel is helping his parents prepare the new baby's room. The talented tiger goes full Bob Ross on the baby's walls, saying there are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. Speaking of which, Daniel's mom is due any day now. He tries to sit on her lap, but falls right off since Mrs. Tiger is so tummy thick. Daniel is excited to meet his new baby sibling so he can sing to them and read them his favorite books. However, his attitude starts to change when he learns his parents plan to give his old crib to the baby. And not to be mean, but like, duh, what else are they going to use the crib for? Firewood?
But my old crib is mine. I love my old crib.
Daniel says they can't take away his crib, even though he already has a train-themed bed. I mean, hell, I'll take the train bed if you don't want it. Luckily, Daniel quickly changes his mind after he realizes he's too damn big for a bed made for literal babies. You see how quickly he was able to resolve that? It took a brat like DW a whole damn episode to give up her crib for baby Kate, and when she finally got a big girl bed, she ended up destroying the house with her midnight stealth missions. If Daniel really wanted to be a brat right now, he would have chained himself to the crib instead of agreeing to give it to the baby. But Daniel isn't out of the woods just yet. The timid tiger is shocked to learn his mom wants to give his old clothes to the baby. And I'm also shocked, considering we've never seen baby Margaret wear any of Daniel's old clothes, ever. Daniel refuses to hand over his old baby sweater. He tries to put it on, only to find his head is bigger than the sweater. Damn, Mrs. Tiger, for your sake, I really hope Daniel was a C-section. The compromising cub realizes he's also too big for his baby clothes, but insists on giving his sweater to his stuffed animal instead of the baby. Wait, haven't I seen this storyline before?
Rosie was wearing his very favorite shirt.
Shut up!
Oh, that's right. Caillou went through the exact same dilemma where he didn't want to give his favorite shirt to baby Rosie, even though he had clearly outgrown it. Only in that episode, Caillou threw a massive hissy fit and wore the tiny tee all day just to spite his baby sister. It still sucks that they both end up giving their clothes to their toys instead of their siblings, but at least Daniel wasn't a passive-aggressive prick about it. Daniel then sings a song about what it'd be like if all his friends were babies, in what I can only assume is a backdoor pilot for a Daniel Tiger baby spinoff.
Sometimes I like pretending to be a baby.
Oh, believe me, Daniel. Daniel. We know. Just then, Mr. McFeely arrives with a special delivery for Mrs. Tiger's special delivery. It turns out Grandpere Tiger sent a new blanket for the baby, and it looks like Daniel is starting to get jealous again. Luckily, Grandpere was smart enough to send Daniel his own gift so he wouldn't have a crap attack. Daniel shows off his fancy new pin. That way everyone will know he's about to be a big brother. Trust me, Daniel, I think they already know. Daniel makes a drawing of the Tiger family to hang over the baby's crib, though I'm worried the baby might think they're from Romania. So yeah, there are moments in this segment where Daniel Tiger is on the verge of brattiness, but thankfully, he's able to resolve all his issues in a matter of seconds, unlike his fellow brats who need multiple episodes just to learn a single lesson. So now let's see if Daniel reverts to his bratty ways once the new baby finally arrives. It's the big day, and Daniel Tiger is excited to finally meet his new sibling. Mrs. Tiger packs her bags for the hospital, as the special randomly decides it wants to be a musical now.
We'll pack Mom a bag with some things she might need, a snack if she's hungry.
What kind of psycho would want to eat a room temp apple right after giving birth?
A picture I made of her family.
Now hold on, that's not the same drawing as the last segment. I'm trying to be nice, but I refuse to tolerate shoddy continuity. Grandpere agrees to watch Daniel while his parents are at the hospital. Daniel waves them off in what has to be the longest goodbye in cartoon history. Daniel shows Grandpere the baby's new room, including the crib right next to the creepy photorealistic duckies. Daniel finds one of his old picture books called Margaret's Music, about a tiger named Margaret who loves music. Duh. Grandpere says he loves the name Margaret because that was his mom's name. Foreshadowing. Daniel decides to give the book to the baby as a present, so he can show them all the fun pictures of tigers playing instruments. Yeah, why'd they have to draw his fingers like that? Daniel insists on going to the park so he can show off the book he's going to give to the baby, which is a totally non-egotistical thing to do.
Like my big brother, Ben?
Of course he likes it. He's the one that got it for you, you little. Nope, gotta be nice. Gotta be nice. Grandpere Tiger says the most stressful part about having a baby is waiting for it to arrive. I don't know. I can think of at least one part that's more stressful. Daniel recruits his friends to be in his pretend parade. They begin their march as 76 imaginary trombones lead the Big Brother parade. Daniel imagines what it'd be like to be in a band for babies, as we're forced to endure another baby song sequence. You know what, PBS? If this Muppet Babies knockoff is what you had planned for the future of Daniel Tiger, then I'm glad your funding got pulled. Just then, Mr. McFeely gives Daniel a letter from the hospital, because God forbid anyone in the land of make-believe should have a cell phone. The letter reveals that Daniel's new sibling has been born. Wow, that was fast. The Tiger crew heads to the hospital to visit the baby. Daniel is curious to know if the baby is a boy or girl. And I'm sure I would be curious too if I hadn't seen any of the 40 episodes before this special. Surprise, surprise, it turns out the baby is a girl. Daniel tries to say hello to the...
In a world that's not...
Surprise, surprise, it turns out the baby is a girl. Daniel tries to say hello to the baby right before she karate chops him in the face. Daniel gets to hold his baby sister for the first time, in a moment that even I'll admit is pretty damn adorable. The Tiger family still doesn't know what to name the baby, and that's when Daniel brings up the Margaret music book. Gee, I wonder what they're gonna name her.
Margaret?
Who could have seen that coming? Daniel decides that now would be the perfect time to give Margaret the book. What's she gonna do with it, Daniel? Margaret suddenly starts crying, because obviously babies hate books. Mrs. Tiger says the baby is hungry, and Mr. Tiger takes Daniel out of the room so Margaret can feed. Oh, so PBS doesn't have the balls to show a mom breastfeeding, but they're totally fine showing a toddler full frontal on the toilet? Daniel heads outside to wait for his mom, and what the hell are these flowers? What are they, Red Cross anthemums? Mrs. Tiger is ready to walk home from the hospital after just giving birth, because Mrs. Tiger is a grade A bad bitch. Baby Margaret continues to cry at the sight of her big brother, which I'm sure is nothing to be worried about. After all, he's a good boy. Instead of going directly home, the Tiger family decides it would be a good idea to introduce their newborn to everybody in town, because I guess the best way to build up your system's immunity is through community.
The Tiger family is bigger.
Okay, now what the hell is up with these flowers? I get that this is the land of make-believe, but can a flower not just be a flower? The Tiger family is so excited to get home that they completely forget to bring the stroller inside. Daniel shows off the house to his baby sister. He tries to give her the book when Margaret starts crying. Again. Mr. Tiger explains that Margaret needs to be changed, and Daniel asks if he can help change the baby's diaper. Said no big brother ever. Daniel helps his mom change Margaret's diaper, even though Mrs. Tiger does 90% of the work. But still, it's a good effort, Daniel. He tries once again to give her the book, and Margaret bursts into tears on cue. And this time, even Daniel's parents don't know why she's crying. Jeez, maybe she really does hate books. Daniel makes a last-ditch effort to relax the baby by reading to her, and in an ironic twist, Margaret is actually calmed by the sound of Daniel's voice. Daniel finishes the story by singing a lullaby about how much he loves his little sister, and how he'll never do anything to hurt her. Ever. So while the special definitely has its ups and downs, it's easily the best we've seen out of Daniel Tiger in a long time. I was nervous when I first found out the show had an origin special for baby Margaret, but after watching it, it's obvious Daniel had a more level head than DW or Caillou. The fact that it didn't end with Daniel pinching his baby sister or trying to sell her to the neighbors is a win in my book. Here, we see Daniel taking steps towards being a good big brother and actually helping his family when the situation calls.